Socrates say to that?
It tickles my fancy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Goosies.
I don't have hair.
Oof.
You got Marcos.
That's not
Wait.
Yeah,
That's true. You do got me. Get over here, Marcus. Let me look at you.
They don't want it.
Tobin and Leroy, ready to deploy. Had to hit it with a little journalism, but that was a decoy. Better have about me, boy. Okay. Leroy and Tobin, hold to the show, man. Still to the stars with the show, and till then his half moon open. Sometimes go taste like a snowman. No proof I'm alive by the motor. No proof. Like I always wanted him, I never hated him, I never traded him, and if I did, I never ever traded him. You don't know what is a star? Like another city, the driver's side fly. Just like a large, so many more. 10 in the more, never a bar. 8, 10 in the more, 2 to the P. Nothing to you, but it's something to me. Handsome as ever, and cute as can be. You can watch it on YouTube with view for free. This one time for the Twitch. This one time for the text. This one time for the phone line. Whole time wonder what they gonna do next.
You know, I just wish you guys would stop the quibbling.
Well, that Sandy School matchup didn't go as planned. Sandy got tattooed in that game, dude. What the hell? I mean, they jumped all over him, dude. That was crazy. I was not expecting that. I mean, he was kind of just like, all right, it was a little blip in the radar, like 3 straight hits and a homer, and then all of a sudden 2 more ding-dongs, and the Marlins couldn't do anything against Scooble. Like, hey, he's good. Got to give credit where credit's due on this Scooble. He's good. Tough to beat. Tough to beat, dude.
Yeah, well, in the battle of aces, one guy didn't show up.
That's true. I can't deny that, Vlad. I can never be mad at Sandy because, I mean, that's like the first blip he's had all year, but it was a big blip. And especially the Marlins had already lost 2 games that series. So not a great weekend in Motor City this weekend for your Fish. They get swept. They're back to 500. And obviously a huge series coming up against the Atlanta Braves before coming home to take on the Brewers. Although I don't think they're going to face Christian Yelich. I think Christian Yelich had a hamstring injury. So that was the start of my sports day yesterday. I was locked in on Sandy because I didn't get to watch the weekend a lot. You know, I didn't watch on Friday night. I was on the broadcast for Dirty Boxing, so I missed that game. And Saturday I was just kind of busy reintroducing myself to my family because I had been gone all week just doing fight stuff.
Do they even know you anymore?
I know. I know. It's been bad. It's been bad. I'm happy. I was at my daughter's like, Papa, how many late days this week? I was like, none. There's no late days this week because the Heat, they wouldn't be back home until like, even if they get out of Play-in-Ville, which maybe they will, I don't know. But even if they did, that game wouldn't be until what, like the 23rd, 24th?
Yeah, it'd probably be either the first, when the draft is, or the day after the draft, like that Friday the 24th.
So no, they don't really recognize me anymore, Vlad. It's been strange. So I watched yesterday. I was like, all right, you know what? I missed the first couple of games. Scooble Sandy, and well, it wasn't great.
The offense is
it's not great. No, it's not great. It's not great. I mean, the guy who I really don't like, Slater, who's like the only veteran on the team. He was the only guy who kind of put up battles against Scooble. Everybody else, I mean, this Davis and De Los Santos, he was just like, whoa, that was like a welcome to the big leagues moment for him. It's like, that was crazy. So, yeah, big series coming up for the Fish. Big series coming up, but not great. Not great. Three-game series starts tonight against the Braves. 7:15 with Aori Perez on the hill, who has not been awesome to start this young season of his in the early goings. So we'll see what's what there. But the rest of our headlines are brought to you by Doral Kia. You always pay less with your Pricito at Doral Kia. Visit us at Doral Kia or DoralKia.com as Rory McIlroy wins his second straight green jacket. And today, Leroy Horde is out.
What's going on?
Trying to win, I guess, the Broward jacket. I don't know.
Oh, he's at a tournament?
He's at a tournament. He's hobnobbing today. I think he's hobnobbing with salespeople. I don't know.
He's trying to win a Publix jacket?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they win. I don't know.
Apron?
I don't know what they win. Yeah, I don't know what they win, Vlad. I'm not really sure. Yeah, they win the golden apron. Does Publix have it open? I feel like they should have it open.
They should have the Publix open.
I feel like that would be a thing. Maybe Publix is Publix too working class.
I mean, isn't it out of Georgia?
It is in Georgia. Where is it? I thought it was headquartered in Lakeland.
Okay, maybe.
I think it was in Lakeland.
There's great golf courses in Lakeland.
Yeah.
They should do a sponsorship with Augusta. Maybe do something in around there.
I'm pretty sure that would be.
It's Florida dates off. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's Lakeland, but there are ones in Georgia, and there's also in Ingles. That's another Georgia one. Ingles is one of theirs, which my wife and I did an entire road.
Ingles, yes.
Yeah, my wife and I did an entire road trip with her saying, place called Ingles. I'm not even doing a bit. I swear to God.
That was you?
No, I swear to God, dude. That was the entire time. She was like, Ingles. I was like, that is odd. And then we got and saw the TV commercial. And like, Ingles. Oh. So, not bad.
Your wife is a teacher.
She is, but she's also Cuban. You know,
yes.
I give her a pass.
Yeah, you got to give
her
a
pass. You know what?
pass.
Give her a pass. We're not, she doesn't know Joe Ingles from the from Australian basketball fame. Dude, yesterday was a scene. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
So his boots on the ground. Wes Goldberg is going to join us later on this hour. We're going to talk all things NBA and Heat play-in-ville. But what a scene. I mean, it was, and basically, you want to know athletes? They're just like us. They're just like us. You want to know why, Vlad?
Why is that?
They just want a day off.
Oh, who doesn't?
They just want a day off. So the Heat, they won against the Hawks. Not a very good game. The Hawks strangely didn't play anybody. Do you feel a slap in the face to you?
No, I'm happy.
You're happy about that?
I'm going to go to game 4.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You're going to travel up there?
Yeah.
All right.
I just came from there.
Good for you, dude.
So I was like, all right, cool. You guys want to be in the 6th seed?
They do want to be in the 6th seed.
Well, we're going to give you a 6th seed ass.
There's going to be a ton of Knicks fans at
Absolutely.
That Atlanta's going to have a ton of New York fans.
Here's what I don't understand before you get into what the locker room situation. I don't understand why they wanted the 6th seed.
Yeah.
So to me, it's either you want to go against New York so that you're on TV a lot more and you're probably hitting you're going to be a more televised game to maybe showcase yourself, maybe as a prominent place for a free agent. Because in all reality, the Knicks have handled you. You won one game against the Knicks. That was after New Year's. Everybody was partying in New York at that time. But they won the 2 games in Atlanta.
That was pre-trading Trae Young.
This is
because Trae Young used to give you guys fits.
The 2 games that we've won have been after Trae Young.
It's the one thing from the Hawks that like gave the Knicks hell for years. Yeah, was Trae Young.
But we didn't have Mitch at the time. Mitch was
That's
hurt.
fair.
So when Mitch is back, Trae Young, he's neutralized. But nonetheless, I'm happy they want to come and take on the Knicks. It's the 7th borough for us, so we'll have fun. Now, yesterday in the locker room, Celtics Orlando was on. And it was funny just because you're sitting there and you're like, all right, I was like, well, I would like Orlando to lose because I'm like, well, that if the Heat are going to get out of play-in-ville, you don't want to face them.
I don't want to face Orlando because they own the Heat. So a road game for Orlando sounds good for me. But everybody on the Heat was rooting for Orlando to win simply because they wanted to play on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
That's the only. So the Flyers, I guess, have a game on Wednesday.
Yes, I found this out yesterday during the show with Dan.
Or a game on Tuesday, excuse me.
They have a game Monday and Tuesday.
Right. So the Sixers cannot play
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. They have to play on Wednesday.
So
kicking the Heat back a day, they would have to play Charlotte on Tuesday. And I'm telling you, dude, and the locker room, I guess, because local news was there because it was a Sunday.
It's the last.
This locker room, there must have been 25 people, dude. I'm sitting there. I'm right next to Davion Mitchell, sitting there, middle of the locker room. He's standing up, watching. Bam is in his locker. Gabe Vincent was stranger there.
He's a Hawk.
He really wants to be on the Heat. Yeah, I know he is a Hawk, but he can't wait to be back here next year. And
you want him back?
For the cheapskis, I'll take him. For the cheapskis, I'm not.
You want anybody
for the cheapskis? I'll bring back Gabe Vincent.
Okay,
dude. Everybody was sitting here, and I was like, everybody was just. I was like, well, why do you guys are rooting for Orlando to win? And they were like, yeah, because then they get an extra day off. I'm like, yeah, athletes, they're just like us.
Well,
they just want a Monday off.
Well, Tobes, they got out. The game was over by 8:30 last night.
I know.
So, maybe it's the last game of the season. You might want to kick back, relax. Might want to enjoy some South Beach a little bit. But so if you're off until Tuesday, you can enjoy South Beach. But if you got a game Tuesday, you can't enjoy nothing. You're back at it tomorrow.
It was crazy. But everybody, when they saw it, it was like you were sitting there and you were watching Boston go almost yak it up, but then Paolo misses the squeaky cheeks free throws.
Well, that's the bad part.
Well, the bad part
didn't play no one.
Dude, they didn't. It was nothing but intangibles out there.
Right. It was the all intangible roster, and Orlando lost.
It was like the 50 Celtics out there. It was crazy. And Orlando, the only team apparently they can beat is the Heat. I don't know. I can't explain that.
Then, unfortunately, if Philadelphia beats Orlando on Wednesday,
right,
that means Miami's going to Orlando on Friday.
Yes, that is true. Which maybe I would go to. Maybe I would, because I'm planning on being in Orlando on the weekend anyway. Got a little jiu-jitsu competition for my son. And the day before, Orlando game, perhaps. We'll see. Task at hand. Got to beat the Hornets.
You can't. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's the first. Yeah. First beat Charlotte in order to to face the loser of 7-8.
Schmieden says the Celtics starting five looked like a QM concert ticket giveaway. Dude, it was crazy. So yeah, Boston ends up winning. Orlando loses a home game, so now they got to go to Philadelphia to try and punch their way into the playoffs to face the Celtics, ironically. If they don't, then they drop to the 8. And the Heat will play on Tuesday, 7:30 against the Charlotte Hornets, who they have played very well this year. That's another of the teams they've played, Philadelphia and Charlotte, they've played pretty well this season. And the only time I think they lost to him, Bam did not play. The Olay twins. Oof.
That's the problem. Those guys can run.
Oh yeah,
and the Olay twins can't guard.
Right, but you also I think need to hit some threes if you're going to beat them too. So you may need the Olay twins to be
right,
hit some
if
threes.
You guys are not hit. They hitting. That's one thing they consistently do.
Of course,
they hit threes.
So we'll see, but lots to dive into with the Heat. We'll get more into it with Wes later on. Your playing schedule aside from the Heat Tuesday at 7:30. Portland will be at Phoenix Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Orlando at Philadelphia at 7:30 on Wednesday, and Golden State at the Clippers 10 o'clock on Wednesday.
Now, if you're Golden State, do you just stay in LA? Because that's who they played yesterday. They played the Clippers yesterday. Or do you fly out to Golden State to come back to LA?
I don't know.
I mean, it is a 45-minute flight.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they're old. They might just want to stay in LA.
Yeah, the old don't like flights.
Not back and forth.
The old don't like flights. Doc Rivers has stepped down as Bucks coach. Who didn't see that coming?
Oh, wait, now there you go. Leroy decided not here to respond to Doc being let go as
We'll get it tomorrow. We'll get it tomorrow.
So what does that mean? I mean, new head coach.
I don't know.
Giannis is gone, right? Like this is it. This is the end of the Giannis regime.
We'll get into it because there's a lot of things to dive into with the Giannis because he did another one of those patented press conferences of his where he's just playing all sides of this. He likes to keep everybody on their toes. But I'm not so sure yet. And and then there's some NFL draft stuff, some stuff on Ruben Bane we obviously got to get into as well. We'll take a break here on the program. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you on FM 104.3 WQAM. Take you guys up until 2 here on the program. Leroy is out today. He'll be in tomorrow. We're going to talk some Miami Heat with Lockdown Heat's Wes Goldberg coming up later on this hour. My guy Jason Anik is going to stop by, my co-broadcaster on the Dirty Boxing Championship. DBX6 was this weekend. Al Macco says, where can I get a pair of shorts from the Dirty Boxing event that were Dolphins colors? That was a great touch. That was a great touch. I like that. The guys who were in the co-main and the main got to wear some Vice colors on it.
First of all, great job.
Thanks, man.
Great job. That was a hell of a broadcast.
I apprate you, buddy. Thank
That
you for
was
checking
great.
it out.
I did check it out. Here's the thing. Your prelims are pretty long, man.
Dude.
Like, I'm like, wait a minute. It's almost 10 o'clock, and they're like, they still got a couple of prelims to go. I'm like, when is the main card going to hit?
I was very confused by this in the moment, Vlad, because, like, I didn't feel like it was going long, but then I looked at the clock because, you know, in the media business, you know, you got to stay sharp on clock. They wanted to end it by midnight.
There was
and we didn't
way.
I don't think we started the co-main until midnight. I don't know why that was, because it didn't feel like every fight was going.
No, because the fights were good. There was a lot of good fights in the prelim.
I wonder what that is. Like, maybe the packages were long in the beginning before the fights, the walkouts. I don't know. I don't know what that was, but you are right. It went time-wise long, but the fights weren't.
Oh, the fights were great, especially the one, because you remember you showed that video of that tall, tangible.
Oh my God. That fight was crazy.
That tall tangible and that short guy, they were going at it. I'm like, wow. Like that, I was like, whoa, okay. And now I understand what Tobin was talking about. This guy looks like he is the future of combat.
Dude,
but
you know what the other thing I didn't know about him, Vlad?
What's that?
He's 18.
What?
I had no idea he was
He's
18.
a baby.
I didn't know that. I was like,
Oh,
I was like, what do you mean you're 18? I was, what?
He's just scratching the surface.
Dude. It was, but I appreciate everybody checking it out. It was, yeah, so we'll talk to Jason, but Jason was also, Jason was like very excited because Jason hosts a football show as well. This guy would not stop talking to me about Malik Willis all week. He's so excited. He's a big Malik Willis guy. He's a big Malik Willis guy. And I also got to talk about his Patriots because Mike Vrabel, no pre-draft press conference, huh? Why?
Diana couldn't be involved.
Oh, he has to scout her?
I mean,
All right. We'll see what's going on there. And he was caged. UFC was also awesome this weekend.
Oh, wait. First of all, I owe an apology.
I
do owe an apology to Brittany and Jay Fick.
Why's that?
Well, their man won.
I know.
Their man won. Who
on a busted leg.
He looked like he was dislocated his leg, or he did something to his leg.
I don't know if we even have a diagnosis yet. I think he messed up. It looked like his knee.
It looked like his knee went one way and his body was going another. And he said in the post fight with Paramount that he knew he could only end the fight in the first round, because if he didn't do it in the first round,
he would have been cooked.
He would have been cooked, and he caught him with a left hook, bro. Wow,
it was crazy. It was a crazy night of fights.
It was a great weekend of fighting.
That was the thing with that's the thing always with fighting. Like, it's one of these things where people are like, the UFC sucks, the UFC's down. And look, as a fan, I can't say like this is the greatest era of UFC. It definitely isn't. But on any given night, the fights can be really awesome, and it can make you forget about that stuff. And the fights this weekend were incredible. Except for the Tyson Fury fight. That fight sucked.
I didn't watch the Tyson Fury fight.
You didn't miss much
because I was working. But what was that fight? Was it Oken? The guy that got the fight that Trump made the fight for. 45.
Oh, Hoken, yeah. Hoken beating Curtis Blades.
Yeah. Oh man, Curtis Blades. His face looked all bad.
Dude, that was crazy.
That was a lot of blood. That looked like a WWE match.
That was vicious. I can't believe. I can't believe. Did you see that? I don't know if you watched it. Did you see the second Dirty Boxing fight where one elbow the dude's ear exploded?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Dude, it was the second fight of the night. One elbow. We're like, what the hell? I guess just cauliflower. Boom.
The cauliflower.
Yeah, I guess it was just like immediately the ear was exploded from an elbow. It was wild. But yeah, that Curtis Blades Josh Hoken fight was one of the best heavyweight fights of all time. It was crazy. Like, because Look, usually a heavyweight's going to put another heavyweight away.
That's okay. So now look, I can't talk from any experience, but it did seem like, all right, they got some power, but do they really have power? Because usually one of these clean shots should put another man down.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hokit's like whole thing is he's just been very goofy with his interviews, and he's been saying just wild bleep, but nobody knows if he could fight. And then he has this fight against Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades been kind of a perennial top fiver the entire time in the heavyweight. Now, mind you, heavyweight's not very deep. And he's always like the bridesmaid in the division. He always lost to Francis Ngannou. And, probably his best win, I want to say when he beat Alistair Overeem ground and pound. But, Alistair Overeem, a little long in the tooth. He's not a striker by nature, but he was very tough, and he took a lot of shots, and it looked like I thought he was going to be out in a minute, and he kept it coming back and then ended up winning that round. I couldn't believe they were able to get through 3 rounds. It was incredible.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, these guys have tremendous jaws, or they don't have that much power in their punches.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it was both. I think they both had some power, but I think you also got like diminishing returns because they were both exhausted. So I don't know if they had anything to put each other away either.
That is true.
So we'll take a break. When we come back, Wes Goldberg, Locked On Heat. We'll talk about all things play-in, all things playoffs, Miami Heat. Where do they go from here? Take a break. Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat joins us next. Bum, bum. 15 minutes of heat here, brought to you by Doral Kia. You always pay less with your pricito at Doral Kia. Visit us at Doral Kia or DoralKia.com. Happy to be joined here by the host of Locked On Heat, the Locked On Heat podcast, which you guys can watch after every game and all week long on YouTube and get it on all your podcast platforms. That we find Wes Goldberg. Always appreciate when Wes makes time for us. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. Happy end of the regular season and start of whatever's next.
We made it again. we made it again, and now we're back in our traditional spot. We are all set for another visit to the plane. I guess we'll start here. What do you think you'll take from this season? Because like people will say, you know, hey, they're back in their same spot, which is true. They finished with a better record than last year. There was obviously less chaos from a drama standpoint than last year. What do you think is going to be, just if you had to already write the obit on this season today, what do you think you'll remember about this year the most?
I think the general theme of this season is how the East has basically passed the Miami Heat by in total, right? We all know that stat that went around after the trade deadline that the Miami Heat were the only team to not make a trade in the Eastern Conference. But you look around the East and you could actually say that every team in the East has a better outlook after this season than the Miami Heat. Maybe the only exception might be the Milwaukee Bucks, but we got to see what they get for Giannis, right?
Right.
But even their play-in peers like Atlanta and Chicago, they have at least chosen a direction. Chicago taking a step back. Atlanta, what you could have argued maybe was a step back in trading Trae Young, actually took a step forward and looks like they've put a real roster and they're building something there. And you look at the rest of the league or the rest of the conference rather, and everybody kind of has that clear direction of where it is that they're going. And the Miami Heat, meanwhile, it's their fourth straight year in the play-in tournament. And to me, I just think that you're out of excuses if you're the Heat, right? Like in years past, you could point to a Jimmy Butler injury against Philadelphia, or the Jimmy Butler trade last year, or injuries to top scorers during the regular season as to reason why you're in the play-in instead of an automatic bid to the playoffs. But 4 years is a really large sample size. Frankly, it's a larger sample size than the finals run in 2023 over a couple months in the playoffs. This is what this team is and has been, regardless of some of these moving parts and excuses. And I'll be really interested to see how Pat Riley characterizes this and kind of answers the same question you asked me at the end of this season during his end of season press conference, because the excuses just have to stop. If this team, by the way, I think this team had a reason to think, Jimmy Butler thing behind us, let's build something, let's see what we're all about. This is what they're all about. They're all about the plan.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's odd about it too is you look back at this year, and I think that I give them credit for doing some things differently. Like I do say, all right, you knew the offense stunk, so you tried something a little gimmicky. I think there's probably a reason why teams don't play like this, because it seemed like it burned them out pretty quickly. And then they just had a foundational build problem because Tyler and Norm just don't work. And they're both on personal goal timelines that don't necessarily help even the timeline of the Heat. So I'm curious to know what that decision is going to be from them. If they even both, like, do you picture a world where either one of them are back next year?
I could see them both coming back next year, which sounds crazy, but I mean, that's what this front office has done time and time again. And for the record, like if you get Tyler Hero back on a manageable extension, and Norm Powell's also willing to take a manageable extension, you at some point you just say, well, these are two really good deals for the players that they are in a vacuum. I guess we'll just figure this out later. There's a way that you can kind of go about that, but ultimately the Heat don't want to do that. That might be plan B, C, D, E. I don't know. I just wouldn't rule it out. In terms of the offense, look, they finished 12th in offense this year. It's the first time that they've been out of the bottom 10 in offensive rating at the end of the season in 4 years. There is zero question that this gimmick offense worked. There's also zero question that it's a gimmick and it fizzled out towards the end of the season, and it never impacted them offensively. They finished over the last 20 games, they were top 5 in offensive rating in the league. They were one of the best teams in the league for a big portion of the season, one of the best scoring teams in the league. The problem is that their defense slipped to 25th over the last 20 games of the season, which if you're the Heat's front office and you're Eric Spoelstra, you know that number and you're like, I don't care if we're first in offensive rating. We cannot be 25th in defense. That is not acceptable for the Miami Heat. And so I do think that we'll probably see a different kind of offense next year. Maybe there's elements of this, but you can't do this. They're the only team, Tobin, that consistently cracked 5 miles per hour on offense this season. NBA's tracking data. They keep track of how fast every team runs in the league on offense and on defense. And the Heat were the only team at the end of the regular season to average more than 5 miles per hour. That's how fast they run on offense. So that just means they were running faster than everybody else. And a lot of that is because of transition and stuff like that. They're getting in the open court. And then no team in the league outside of Indiana ran more miles than them all season long. And Indiana stinks. So it's not exactly like you could point to that stat and just be like, well, that's a winning stat. No. That's a losing stat. They're working too hard to do the same thing that these other teams are doing. And that's been the bigger problem, not just for the season, but in general for the Heat for a very long time.
What did you think was the downfall these last 2 weeks? I think back to a couple of games ago when Spo was basically like, I've never been part of a defense like this. Because it was strange. Like they had that 7-game win streak, middle of June. Feels like maybe all the possibilities are in front of them. Like, just don't get embarrassed. And then like it was such an unraveling of the team. What the hell happened to the defense the last 3 weeks?
I think you go back to that stat that I just pointed. I think they ran out of gas. I mean, you and I watch every possession of these games. They were just getting blown by, right? It wasn't a schematic thing. It wasn't like the zone just stopped working or they weren't running it enough or they were running it too much. And, Eric Spoelstra, what was the quote that he said after one of those Toronto losses? He's like, we're plugging holes in a dam. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, the fact that they couldn't find a viable defensive lineup for a quarter of the season is very telling of where this roster is. Like the answers weren't on that roster. We could debate Khalil Ware, start, bench, whatever, playing too much. Like the answers weren't on the roster. And eventually he did come to the conclusion that, okay, we have to start Khalil Ware just because we need some size out there. We need some sort of defensive advantage. We have to stagger Hero and Powell like as if they're not even teammates. Like they'll never share the court together whatsoever because we can't afford a minute with those guys on the court together defensively. And so they came to some realizations by the end of the year, and we'll see what it looks like in the play-in tournament, maybe even in the playoffs, depending on how things play out. But in terms of why they got so bad defensively, all I could point to is I'm watching these games, and they just look tired. The closeouts aren't as crisp. They're not closing out as quickly. They're getting blown by, and those are marks of tired teams.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing everybody just root for a day off yesterday in the locker room.
It wasn't it? Like that was one of the craziest scenes and more entertaining scenes that I've been a part of in a locker room where everybody's just, it doesn't matter about it's the same opponent no matter what. It's just like, can we get, after 82 grueling 5 months of this regular season, just one extra day off? Because remember, this was a team that wanted the entire week off and they couldn't even get that. So to try to get a day off and now they can't even get that, it's gutting.
Do you think when they suit up tomorrow night tomorrow night, do you think that Khalil starts? Because Spo had this whole thing about how important it is after the Wizards game, that they want him more engaged. Thought he was fine yesterday. I didn't think like it was his greatest showing ever. He had the 3-ball going, but it was a bit of a weird game anyway. It doesn't matter. But do you feel like they go into this, however long the playoffs are, with Khalil starting?
I think so. I do think that this team has to understand what its ceiling is, right? Like, it's interesting to hear Steve Kerr talk about his Warriors team that's in the same spot in the Western Conference, the 10th seed in the play-in, and just be like, yeah, we're still going to minutes limit Steph and Horford and Porzingis. Like, they just know, like, we're going to go out there and we're going to compete, but we're not going to do something bespoke for these games. And if Eric Spoelstra and this front office believe that getting Khalil in that starting lineup for however many more games we have left here is important, then I think you do it no matter what the matchup is. And by the way, you could talk yourself into starting Khalil. I know people will look at Charlotte and say, hey, the size, the speed of the game might not be beneficial for Khalil. The Hornets are also number 2 in the league in defensive rebounding rate. Like, this is a really elite defensive rebounding team. And if you want to try to close in on that rebounding margin, which is going to be really important, then having Khalil Ware out there does make some sense as a starter.
Do you feel like this matchup against Charlotte, they've had success against them this year? I think the only game they lost was with Bam out. But they did have to shoot pretty crazy in that game where, Charlotte was really rolling. How good do you feel about their opportunity to get out of the play-in? What's your confidence level?
So the Heat are 3-1 against the Hornets this season, but they're only 1-1 against these Hornets this season because 2 of those wins came in the first 3 weeks of the season before the Hornets figured out that they're good. And the Hornets over the second half of the season, like, this is a real stretch. This is not just some team that's a hot shooting team over the last 15 games. No, they are this team. They're not the team from the beginning of the year, and that's why I think Charles Lee deserves to be in the Coach of the Year conversation. Different topic. So 1-1 against this team. You mentioned the hot shoot. Tyler Hero had to go 8 for 10 from 3-point range in that win that they had. Now, that's not like, it's Tyler Hero. We see that happen. Like, that's totally within the cards, in the realm of possibility. Whether Hero or Norm Powell, I think one of those guys is going to have that kind of shooting game, and it's going to have to be a monster two-way Bam game. And when I say monster game, it doesn't mean 30 points necessarily. It just means 20 points, 14 rebounds, a couple assists, maybe a block, and just, the total two-way masterpiece stuff that we see from Bam. And then obviously some contributions from other players. But confidence level, I mean, this Hornets team is playing really well. It's already the team that the Pistons don't want to see, you know what I mean, in that first round. On the road, I'll give the Heat a 36.2% chance.
That's not great, dude.
Feels like it should be better. For a team that owns the play-in tournament. The play-in kings, right? Isn't that what Tyler Hero called them the other day?
Well, I believe he stole that from me. I called them the play-in kings. The Kings of Play-in-ville all season. But if Tyler Hero wants to take it, I'll allow him to take it because it is true. But it's one of these things, and I kind of understand where everybody's at. Like, Spo even kind of went into maniac mode yesterday where he's like, it makes you feel alive. I'm like, does it? You remember how like they felt last year? He was doing that whole thing after, like, you should have been on that plane ride back from us winning the play-in, and then you got your heads lopped off by the Cavaliers. Even if they win 2, like, they're gonna get destroyed by Detroit, or are you like one of these, like, Detroit's kind of vulnerable?
I've been higher on Detroit than most people all season long, not even knowing that this could have been a potential playoff matchup. I just think that team is tough as nails, and we can nitpick every team in the East, and people tend to nitpick Detroit more. I guess maybe it's just because we haven't seen them in the playoffs as much, even though they got to the second round last year they played well last year. So first round, thank you, Vlad. But they pushed the Knicks, almost made it to the second round. But their defense is awesome. They're turning teams over at a rate that is equivalent to what the Thunder turned teams over at last year. And yet we always talked about how you can't get the ball across the half court against the Thunder. The Pistons are doing that same thing, and that helps power their offense. They're a really good rebounding team. And with Cade having missed some time, they were getting real contributions from guys like Dennis Jenkins. Our friend Duncan Robinson was unlocked as a playmaker a little bit more for them. Jalen Duren is going to be an all-NBA guy and deserves it, right? Like, he's not just a
he's good
rim-rolling big guy. He is a rim-rolling big guy, but he also has a face-up game and actually has some dribble handoff chemistry with Duncan, which makes Heat fans jealous probably. But that's a legitimate team is my point. And we can nitpick some of the shooting stuff with them, but like I said, that every team in the East has something that you can nitpick. And one thing I know about the Pistons is they're going to come out, they're going to be more physical than everybody else, and that includes the Miami Heat, who we just talked about, don't seem to have their legs on them under them right now.
So you feel like the best thing, like, honestly, for like the long term, is probably just like get your asses kicked, and then that really will force them into evaluating the organization and maybe actually doing some wholesale stuff around 601 Biscayne Boulevard.
Yeah, this is kind of a topic that we keep circling back to on Locked On Heat, is sort of like, what's the best result of the season? Like, it's the Miami Heat. If you want to root for a playoff showing appearance, like, I get it, man. Like, that's the Heat make the playoffs. So you want to extend your season, you're not ready for off-season content, you're not ready to start talking about that. I get it. The NBA playoffs are long, and to not be a part of it at all is a drag. It's a total drag. But you make the playoffs, you don't have a chance at the lottery, right? The odds of Lightning striking twice in 2 years and kind of having that Cooper Flag thing happen where Dallas moved up from 11-1, it's a long shot, but you lose in the play-in, you end up with a 7 or a 5% chance depending on where things fall at a top 4 pick. That's not nothing, right? And if you make the playoffs, it is nothing. So maybe you can traffic and hope a little bit if you're a Heat fan in that until the lottery actually happens, and then at that point, I don't know, you're talking about a little bit of a better draft pick if that's what you want to do. But to me, I come back to what you just said, Tobin. It's if you make the playoffs again, does this front office be like, we're one bounce away from blah blah blah, like whatever? I almost feel like this team needs to be embarrassed to the point where they change their behavior, because we've heard time and time again they're not going to make change for change's sake. Well, sometimes you do need to make change for change's sake, and maybe just sort of mixing up the snow globe here and seeing if things fall a different way in the offseason might be the right way to approach things, but it just feels like there has to be some sort of different kind of result to elicit different behavior.
One more before I get you out of here. We got talking to Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On Heat, Locked On NBA as well, and Real GM Radio. You guys can catch a lot of his coverage this entire playoffs as well, even if the Heat do get their asses kicked early, and he'll be there through the offseason as well. But one thing I am keeping my eye on and I am intrigued by is what is Bam's reaction to all this? He has had one of his best individual seasons, obviously, the 83-point game, but he is going to be 30 this offseason, and he is looking at all of his peers and thinking that they've had more success, but he is Mr. Heat. I think he's 50 or so rebounds from passing Udonis Haslem. Do you think there's any chance that he makes a stink this offseason and thinks about other options?
No, but I was really curious about his post-game presser last night. And sometimes I don't stick around for Bam's comments because he takes his time post-game, right? He gets all his body work done. He just really takes his time. And sometimes I'm going to go record the show. I got to get this thing out. But last night I made sure to stick around because I did wonder, is he going to pull a Dwayne Wade type of, I'm sick of this, I don't want to do this anymore type of moment? And he didn't do that. He kept things focused on the play-in tournament, which I understand. It's totally the Bam thing to do. We'll see what that post-game press conference looks like if and when they're eliminated, right? Like, well, maybe that's the right time to tune into that. But I did have my antennas up. He didn't do any of that. But I do wonder, like, Bam is close friends with Jason Tatum. And Tatum misses 3/4 of the season, comes back to a team that's second in the East. And I just, Bam is thinking in some part of his body, not to speak for him, but, like, he knows if he leaves for 10 games, Miami's season is over. And he's probably looking at his buddy Tatum and he's like, look at your supporting cast. They were able to carry you and make sure that the team was viable for when you came back. And now that is a team that has a legitimate chance to make the NBA Finals, despite the fact that Tatum missed as much time as he did. He definitely looks around the league, looks at what his peers are dealing with, and he should. And I do wonder if, like, I don't think he's going to cause a stink in the terms of get me out of here, but he has earned enough respect in that building at this point where he could go to the front office and say, something's got to change. Like, you didn't get my guy Damian Lillard, you didn't get my guy Donovan Mitchell, even though Donovan Mitchell, depending on how the playoffs, he might be an option again this summer. He's extension eligible. We'll see, TBD. But go get me a guy, man. Like, come on. I scored 83 points in a game.
I know. That was like
where's my Pau Gasol?
It's the only thing good on the tombstone of this season was that night against the Wizards.
Does it feel a little less than? Like, wouldn't it have been better and more impactful had that kind of sparked this great run into the playoffs and the Heat are sitting here as a 5 seed?
I think it would have if I didn't know that it wasn't on him. And I just think that the mess of Hero and Powell just not working and just being a disaster, because that's what it was. Not intentionally. Like, look, I appreciate them going to get Norman Powell. He was an all-star this year, but that just didn't work. And they went through this entire thing, like, trying to make feelings good for them, and then seemingly pissed off Norman Powell by the end of it. So that didn't even work. So it was just such a disaster between them both. I'm never going to take away from the year that this was an incredible Adebayo season that crashed and burned, but I don't put it on him. I know, like, I'm sure he has to wear it because he's the max guy and that's the responsibility, but let's be real. Like, that's it. We know why that happened. It's
starting to feel like those 2 years before the big three for Dwayne, where he was just, like, trudging along. And even that last year was a 48-win Heat team. This one is a 43. This one is
tough.
If not for the play-in tournament, we're talking about the end of the season last night.
Yeah, and 0 for 13 against 3 teams in the East. Like, it's there are some embarrassing things on it for sure, but even with Bam Kid there, 83 is 83,
83 is 83, 100%.
I'll always have that. That's the only thing I have. It's the only flickering light I have on this season, Wes.
That and a top 4 pick in this draft, right?
That'd be good. I would like that. All right, buddy. Go follow Wes Goldberg's work. Locked on Heat, Locked on NBA. He does a fantastic job, and always appreciate when he makes time for us. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll take a break. Jason Anik is going to stop by. We'll talk about the fight weekend, some NFL with him as well as we roll on here on this Monday. Back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you on FM 104.3 WQM. Leroy's out today. He's hobnobbing. He's golfing. Good for him. You know, as if he didn't get enough golf this weekend with the Masters. Vlad's in producing today, and we're having fun on a Monday. Appreciate Wes Goldberg for stopping by, talking some Heat. I do agree. Yeah, you're right, Vlad. You pegged me. I am I'm very torn because I left the arena last night. I was like, nah, I don't want it to end. And then I'm like, it's stupid. They really shouldn't. Like, they're gonna get KO'd by Detroit so bad. It's rough. Quickly, our headlines are brought to you by Doral Kia. You always pay less with your price. Cito at Doral Kia. Visit them at Doral Kia or DoralKia.com. Rory McIlroy, he won his second green jacket, won the Masters yesterday, held on, and was able to stave off Scotty Scheffler. Marlins got swept by the Tigers yesterday. They lose 8-4. Sandy Alcantara got knocked around in 6 innings, 7 runs, 3 homers. Wasn't great. Tarek Skubal, he was awesome. Marlins couldn't touch him. They're back at it tonight. 3-game series with the Braves starting at 7:15. Aori Perez on the hill against Grant Holmes, who basically just looks like the SEC. I mean, go look at his headshot. And the Heat win yesterday, 143-117 in a win over the Hawks. Bam had 25 points, 10 rebounds. They will face the Hornets tomorrow night, 7:30 on the road to start off the play-in. But let's go out to the Toyota of Hollywood guest lodge. I have over 2,000 Toyotas on sale at one location, Toyota of Hollywood, on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan, ToyotaofHollywood.com. I'm going to talk to my broadcast partner on DBX, as we had DBX 6 this past weekend. We had UFC this past weekend. And happy to join on the show. Jason Anik, what's going on, dude?
My man, Brendan Tobin, so happy to be with you. So much to talk about as usual, man. I can't wait to get into it. But yeah, you and I, no secret to sharing microphones and headsets together.
No, dude, not at all. You were telling me all week, like when we were doing these meetings, you were like so fired up about, like, I think you're more fired up than I am about the Dolphins getting Malik Willis. You were very excited about this move.
No question I am. And for those that don't know, if my voice sounds familiar, my brother, John Anik, is the play-by-play voice for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, so don't get it twisted. I'm his twin. But yeah, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, so I'm objective here, certainly. But yes, I mean, anyone who would listen to me about Malik Willis, when I saw him play this year with Green Bay, I said, any team that's looking for a quarterback, I'd be looking for this guy. I mean, Brendan, I could start the conversation here. How many good to great quarterbacks are there in the NFL? 12 to 14? I mean, how many are we really talking? The eye test. Right. I mean, so the eye test means a lot to me. And Dan Orlovsky knows a lot more than me. He said, $50-60 million, Willis is going to command that. Obviously, I could give you numbers in a small sample size, right? He only has 155 career pass attempts. So I understand the jury could still be out. I could go on and on, though. Green Bay develops quarterbacks. That's no secret. They develop sort of backups that become starters and good starters. I believe in the total skill set. Selected 86 overall out of Liberty in 2022 by Mike Vrabel and company. And I think professional sports a lot about situation. It wasn't a great situation in Tennessee. I think the situation was good for him to sort of build up in Green Bay. And one thing I'll say finally, Jason Tatum this season in the NBA, I think benefited greatly from watching his Boston Celtics compete without him. And the cerebral component to be able to watch and say, you know what I mean? Like defensive rebounding, I can really help there. Facilitating, I can help there. I just think a step back matters. I think Malik Willis to be able to watch and learn from LaFleur, I think it's second to none. I think Hafley certainly more under the radar than our coach Mike Vrabel these days, but I believe it. Josh Allen, Bills, Patriots are more the problem than anything. And frankly, I know I'm long-winded here, but I'll finally say, I hope Malik Willis is good and the Dolphins are terrible this year if I'm a Dolphins fan, right? Because I still think they need to bottom out to build up the roster.
Right. No, I get you. Yeah, that would probably be the ideal because you get more talent, but he actually flashes. That is the thing. But the thing with me is okay, but you have a new regime that came in that loves this guy. Obviously, they believe in him because even with those few snaps that you talked about, that's a good chunk of change you gave him. It's not franchise money. So I'm very torn on what's the level in line I need the Dolphins to be at for me not to think that the front office is full of clowns, but that this guy's got the goods.
Very good point. And what I'll say about the dollars for NFL quarterbacks, did Kirk Cousins just get $20 million to go back up as the Raiders quarterback. So the marketplace is what it is. It is what it is for running backs. I think we're going to see a correction on that crazy wide receiver market. But I think we've found out that there are these 50, 60, 70, $80 million guys, and then there's no real in between. So to me, the number had to settle somewhere. And ultimately, it's not a long enough deal. Tua's money is what it is too. Ultimately, I think it's really about developing and see what he could maybe do 2-3 years from now, potentially. I mean, Achan's 24, Willis is 26. So ultimately, I think, even as a Patriots fan, like the idea that any of us are going to contend with Josh Allen and company right now, you're going to have some luck go your way, it feels like, in the next couple of years anyway to get through that division. But I really believe in Willis. It's going to surprise me if he isn't good. But, if he's not protected at all, that could make these conversations moot.
Definitely. So you mentioned Vrabel. What have you made over this last couple of weeks, man? Because you're coming off this insane Super Bowl run, and you got this coach. Not that the Patriots are strangers to scandal, but like, this is a guy, I picture him of that way, like doesn't want distractions, doesn't want anything, and now he's bowing out of pre-draft press conferences. Are you nervous about the whole Rossini gate thing with surrounding this? Because obviously you want to improve off of this, and your coach is caught in the middle of non-football things.
That's hilarious. Rossini gate. It's the first time I've heard it. I can't believe we didn't talk about this when we were together with Dirty Boxing over the weekend. Because I would have joked around with you a lot, because dare I say I'm finding the humor in it. I know I sound like a bad guy, but I've been with my wife 22 years. I'm a good man, would never do anything like this. In terms of the on the field stuff, I'm realistic. The fact that the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl, overachievement to get back there seems like a huge challenge. Drake May spoke as much at the Masters. So that I can put in its own compartment. No, this isn't good at all. The only way that this is it's not okay in any direction. I guess you think about his wife, you think about the Rossini family, and you've seen her comments from prior that are now being aired just about her relationship with her husband, which I find humorous. I know I maybe shouldn't laugh at it, but overall, I'm not that worried about the Patriots from a football standpoint. But what Vrabel has built with that culture and the character and the loyalty, you have to think some guys walking in there like, this guy really not necessarily practicing what he's preaching. I'd be shocked if you ever have anything approaching this with Jeff Hafley, if you will. But life is funny, man, and people are human, and I don't love judging individual humans. And what I will say,
either. I'm with you, dude. I don't either.
And Ime Udoka, right? Celtics coach, right? I was when he was with an executive in the Boston Celtics and had to, I host a podcast with Andy Gresh, New England Sports Podcast today. He's saying if this was with an executive, maybe Vrabel's losing his job. So, But I'll say about Ime Udoka as a Celtics fan, I was devastated in that moment to lose him as a coach. Happy certainly with Joe Mazzulla, but ultimately I think the football stuff will sort of shake out. But yeah, not happy it happened as a Patriots fan.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me like when Tyreek kind of gets into stuff, probably like a little bit more grim than what Vrabel's caught up with. Not that it's great, but I don't think it's stuff that matters now. It only matters if they struggle. Like that's the thing that you worry about. Like it's not a big deal right now because it's not affecting anybody's draft. They are coming off of a good season. They still have Drake May. But if they do struggle, if it's not what it was, then it's like, what, because they can always go back to it and make it fit how they want to.
Yep. Well, and that's a great point. And ultimately, whether it's the Dolphins, whether it's the Patriots, health and what they do to fix the roster, I think, are going to actually have more to do with it. Like Vrabel, I think, is going to be one of the consistent things about this team, dare I say. So, yes, if they struggle, certainly could that be pointed to? But I think if they struggle, it's going to be because Dre maybe hasn't made the next step. They haven't protected him the way they sort of struggled to protect him last year. So, ultimately, I think they're going to have to do a lot on the football field to take the next step. And frankly, as a guy from Boston who's been privileged to watch a lot of championships, Patriots have a brutal schedule this year. For them to get back to where they went or even win 11 games is going to be quite an accomplishment. The conference is going to be absolutely brutal next year, even if we're talking about Miami. So for me, the football is going to be challenging in its own right. And so some of this stuff I found kind of like a train wreck, if I'm being honest, and like couldn't close my eyes.
Talking to Jason Anik, he's my broadcast partner on Dirty Boxing Championship. DBX6 was this past week. Did you have a blast this weekend? I felt like it was a fun card.
I thought it was absolutely banging, and I love being in Miami. And what's interesting for me, right? James L. Knight Center, which you graduated college from there, back in that building.
Same
So
seat.
different.
Still,
Right. So we sold the place out, which was awesome. So there are definitely more people there. We outgrew the hangar, but the hangar's quite a vibe, which Brendan. You're right. So it was a very different vibe in there. And that's what's interesting is the hangar is almost a scene. And now we're going really almost to arenas where we're doing productions. But I don't know if you watched any of it looking back, but it's definitely starting to level up in terms of the hundreds of thousands of people that are watching it at home. But yes, I had a blast. How was your night?
it was fun, man. It was fun. We were talking to some of the listeners were checking it out. Vlad, you were like blown away by the tall fellow Progress with his knockout. I mean, that guy, I can't believe he's 18. I'm a little, I don't even know if I'm like a little skeptical of it because he looks too mature and too good with his striking. He's a monster. And I felt bad for Blake because Blake did get headbutt. A lot of headbutts this past weekend. That was a new thing with DBX. But dude, that guy, he seemed like a superhero when he started unleashing all of that stuff in front of us.
Well, I agree. And we may be able to see one day, we were able to call the first real sort of high level fight for Adam Progress in dirty boxing, as we talk about him being a UFC champion. At that age, physically, even with that lanky frame, looks physically mature. That liver shot was vicious. Watching him hit pads, my brother was in the building for him, was blown away as well. There's a maturity beyond his years. And I will say his opponent, Blake Lacaze, certainly that could have been a no contest after that headbutt leading to the eye poke. So he got back in there, props to him, but the liver shot was just devastating. And, you know, a lot of these guys, I know we may touch on Gable Steveson later as he's moving into the UFC, but there are guys that are going to make dirty boxing home. And then there are guys that this will be a stepping stone onto greatness. I think Progress is right at the front of the line. I was blown away.
Yeah, it is like the conundrum of it, right? Like, because it is a great stage for guys. Like Gabriel Uritt looks like a dude, you know, like
yes,
he looks like a dude, and I'm sure like with the matchmakers in the building, like, how do you not look at what that guy's able to do? And you're like, hey, he would intrigue me. I would want to poach him.
No question about it. And when we talk about the MMA prime or the prime of any athlete, I love talking about Tom Brady playing the specialist quarterback position. Brady says, I was good at 25. I was great at 35. And by 45, I was a master of the sport. I love that quote because there's some truth to that. There were a lot of things about Brady's greatness at 45 that were at its greatest. But Gabe Uritt, I think 24 years old, BT, you know, getting into that prime. So the fact that guys could enter their prime before they get to the UFC or perhaps dirty boxing, if this thing gets on TV, this is its own sport. Why not? Guys that maybe aren't grapplers at heart, because Gabe Uritt is impressive on the feet, man.
Yeah, he was really impressive. So yeah, you mentioned Gable Steveson you were at UFC at the Kaseya Center the next night, and they make the announcement that they have signed him. I don't think you and I are surprised. I mean, we were there for his DBX fight, but what do you think kind of life that's going to infuse into a little lackluster heavyweight division, which got more juice to it this past weekend because of that great fight between Blades and Hokit. But this guy is like an A1 athlete.
No, he is. And it's funny. You talk about injecting juice when we got plenty of juice. That's a good point there. One thing I want to say to you, the first takedown of the night, Brendan, because dirty boxing is punching and elbows and standing stuff. First takedown of the night. I'm like, blah, blah, like almost thinking you couldn't do it when I'm in there because I'm so used to dirty boxing. So I saw Gable at the Fighter Hotel and he was in a conversation. I was running to the elevator. This is the Dirty Boxing Fighter Hotel. Because for those that don't know, Gable is embedded in dirty boxing with John Jones. So I sort of ran past him and I was like, Gable. And he comes after me. This is a couple days. This is, I think, Thursday, maybe Friday. Thursday it was. And he comes up to me and he says, your brother's going to be calling my fight soon. Right. Ooh. And then the next day it gets announced. Now, I had heard rumblings in the day that he was going to be on the White House card. So maybe that was trying to happen. But I love that Gable came out and talked about sort of the anxiety or a little bit of butterflies as he would enter the UFC. I appreciate that real emotion. And even one of his wrestling coaches told us before dirty boxing how he had never seen him as nervous as he was before his first appearance in dirty boxing. So what's interesting for me about Gable, especially sitting cage side, watching Josh Hokit and Curtis Blades, right? Because as ready as Gable is for the UFC, and I believe he is, maybe not be ready for those guys from a striking standpoint yet, if you will. So I think matchmaking will be key. And while Gable is a ferocious force, he is only 6'1". He's not the most imposing heavyweight. So I think matchups will make a lot of sense here. Certainly there are guys who are the back of the top 15 and really guys in the top 30 that Gable could handle. but I'm excited for him. I do believe they'll match him up well for International Fight Week. But finally, I'll say, when we've seen him test himself in MMA and in dirty boxing, I feel as though he's wanted to prove himself from a striking standpoint. Well, young man, you've made it to the big show. You don't got to prove yourself anymore. So path to victory. If you need to take any dude down, and I hope I haven't dropped an F-bomb yet today, by the way.
I think you've done good, dude. You stayed clean.
I
You're already
appreciate
being the wolf from last week.
Right. Oh, well, because we were on video, not radio, I would have been better. But anyway, Gable, if you need to take dudes down to the mat and drive them through the mat all night, you can do it in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So I'm excited for him. He's super humble. And I think, they've matched up guys like Bo Nickel, Joe Pfeiffer. They've matched these guys up the right way as they've built them. I think they'll do the same with Stevenson.
What was the craziest thing that you saw? It was a pretty crazy fight between Cub and the main event, and Ulberg's knockout and that heavyweight fight. You were there cage side. What was the craziest moment of?
Gosh, I mean, it's hard. You picked all the great ones. What I'll say about Jiří Procházka, you mess around, you find out, right? Back in the day, Anderson Silva messed around, and Chris Weidman became the middleweight champion of the world. Jiří Procházka, even though his leg kicks probably were not the reason for the torn ACL, that might have been a misstep. He was beating up that leg beautifully. All he had to do was get in a bike and chip that leg, and he's the champion again. And imagine if Jiří Procházka had not been a champion prior to this. Imagine what we would be saying about him giving away his championship if he had never been a champion. So that sticks out for me. What sticks out about that heavyweight fight between Hokett and Blades was that oftentimes when you see such an incredible first round from heavyweights, they don't have enough juice to even have moments in round 2 and 3. And they both had enough juice and enough cardiovascular system in place to be able to really make some moments there. And finally, I'll just say about Cub Swanson. I mean, you nailed the 3, Brennan. He looked so fast, so incredible at 42. It's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this guy's retiring, but you get it. And I'm sure you saw on Instagram, BT, because we're boys. He has identical twin boys that were watching cage side with the president. And we were able to sort of take a picture with them after, because John and I are identical twins. So it was really cool to see them. But yeah, it was an incredible night, Brendan, stacked up after DBX 6.
No, dude, it was a fun weekend. It was a fun weekend to check it all out. I appreciate hopping on, buddy. Thank you so much.
You're my guy. And finally, I'm just going to say, for your listening audience, my friend Brendan Tobin, BT, is a humble man. My brother better look out. This guy's getting better every time on the Dirty Boxing Sticks. If you're not, watching him, pay attention to your boy, because he's doing great work, and I'm proud of you, brother.
Thank you, buddy. Proud of you and excited to work with you again down the road. Have a great day, and appreciate you stopping by. All right.
Always, brother. Take care, man.
That's Jason Anik. Go check out his work. You can follow him at Boston Anik is where you guys can go follow him. And does a lot of great work all over the place. So go check it out and check out his social media on that. We'll take a break. More to come here on the show. Back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you on FM 104.3 WQAM. Hey, WQAM's Whiskey, Stars, and Cigars, presented by Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall, returns Friday, May 8th. Talk sports unfiltered with the WQAM staff at Tabacón Cigars and Spirits at Plantation Walk. Love the folks at Tabacón. Always have a great time when we do this. Enjoy a nice Scotch whiskey from Johnny Walker and a smooth cigar from Drew Estate. The event is free. Just stop on by. Get all the info now at WQAM.com. Must be 21 or older. But see you guys out there May 8th at Tabacón Cigars and Spirits at Plantation Walk. Whiskey, Stars, and Cigars presented by Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall. 4 brands, 1 location, your local Cadillac, Buick, GMC, and Chevy dealer. Check it on out.
All right. I'll be there.
Excited. When's the last time we did this? Is the last time we did this during the Stanley Cup?
We did. I think, did we do it last year?
Did we do it?
I think we did it last year.
Yeah, it was during.
It was during the Stanley Cup.
Or it was during the playoffs. It was during the.
It was during.
It was during the Leafs series, right?
Yes, it was during the playoffs.
They had
I
that
think
huge game 3, Vlad.
Yeah, I think we lost that game though.
No, we won. I know we won.
Was it a win?
It was a win. It was.
Did we try to show the game outside? And
yeah, we did, and it took a little bit to get out there, but no, they won. It was a huge because we would have gone down 3-0, I think, to the Maple Leafs. I think that's the situation.
Let me check. I'll check. But
the fourth,
we did do it.
The fourth line had that huge game. I think Gadjevich and Nosek. I think that's the last time we did it. But I love when we do Whiskey, Stars, and Cigars. Should be fun. May 8th. Check it on out. Just come on by. You know, no signing up, no bells and whistles. Just come on by, hobnobbing. And we'll have a good time, and we'll have we'll see what I don't know if we'll be watching any playoffs. I mean,
yes. All right. So it was the overtime. It was an overtime win.
Overtime win. Yep.
Yes.
Game 3.
It was game 3, 5-4. Panthers won in overtime.
Oh, that was a game.
And yes, Marshawn scored the game winner in overtime, and we were down 3-1.
Down 3-1.
In the second period. Yeah.
Oof. That was a crazy game. Crazy game. And the run may have been cooked if they didn't win that game because they would have been down 0-3.
They would have.
Woo.
So yeah, every time it's during the Stanley Cup playoffs that we've gone to was it Tabacón?
Yep.
For the cigar, whiskey and cigars.
Yep.
Good product. You'll be able to talk to some of your favorite WQAM personalities. You might be able to talk to Leroy.
You might be able to talk to Leroy. You might be able to talk to Leroy hobnobbing. So check that on out, and hope to see you out there. May 8th, everybody. May 8th. The Heat, they win yesterday. Was boots on the ground for that one as they beat the Hawks 143-117. Heat, king of putting up 140 on teams that stink.
All right, let's get into this, man. Let's get into this.
That's their thing.
Your toe is so I've never seen you like this. You're a pretzel right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're so twisted in your emotions.
Yep.
You want them to continue. You always want because you love this is your thing. Heat and 5 during this time of the year. But you're upset with your squad.
Very.
And you want this team to pick a path.
Mm-hmm.
And you think if they continue winning, it's not the path that they should pick, and it's just going to delay the inevitable. So winning tomorrow, just to lose Friday to Orlando, would be painful. To win tomorrow and then win Friday just to get it swept in the first round, it's painful because you're stuck.
0-6 against a team, which, by the way, I think they lost to them 3 times in the.
You did.
They
did.
The
They're 0-8.
So they're 0-8 against this team. But could you imagine being 0-9 against a team in a season? Like, that's impossible. That's crazy. And the Orlando Magic of all team, and the thing that makes the Orlando Magic thing even more frustrating is they're not good either.
They were just as bad as you guys.
It would be one thing if this kept happening to the Celtics, or this kept happening to the Thunder, or or remember, the Denver dominance over Miami for years. But Orlando? You can't get one against Orlando?
So you played Orlando twice and lost to them in the preseason.
Dude, so 0-7.
So you're 0-7.
0-7 this year.
You lost the first game of the season was against Orlando. You lost to them.
Yep.
So you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose to the team, the first team you played, and then they be the last team you played. That's well.
Yeah, that would be rough. I mean, it'd be an easy trip home. They wouldn't have to. So there's, I guess.
There's that.
There's that. But no, I definitely walked out of the building last night. I was like, I don't want this to end. I want to be back. I will say, oh man, brokenhearted seeing the video yesterday because I was already down in the press room.
Mm-hmm.
because respectfully, I'm not watching Vlad Golden minutes. The game was over. But Mike Biamonte wiping the tear away, telling everybody good night.
Oh,
that
yeah, that was
hit
rough.
Me. That hit me. That hit me. I was like, oh man, what if this is the end?
Let me tell you what hit me. Hearing all the local broadcasters saying farewell to their audience because they'll no longer allow local teams to broadcast playoff games.
Yeah, Breen did that yesterday, right?
So Breen did it, and so did ER. Eric Reed did it as well. Eric Reed was like, that this is the final broadcast. He thanked all the great people that worked with him at FanDuel. And Breen said, Mike Breen said the same thing. Oh, Eric Reed also said, once we know where we'll be next season, we'll share the information.
Well, let me tell Eric Reed this: wherever it is, legend, it'll be better, and you'll be better served for it. Because let me tell you something, Vlad. You know what I did yesterday when I was waiting for people to come out and warm up after Sandy was getting knocked around the park. I said, you know what I should do?
What should you
Since
do?
I'm here,
What should you do?
I should cancel my FanDuel subscription.
You didn't you?
I should cancel my FanDuel subscription. And let me tell you something, because it had like I think 2 weeks left in it before they were going to hit me again. For what? I don't know. What are they billing me for? Fishing shows? I don't know what the hell they have left. But that was a cancellation I enjoyed. I was like, I even sent it to Leroy and JFig yesterday. I said, look at this. Your subscription has successfully been canceled from FanDuel Sports. I'm like, hot damn. I cannot tell you, that app was the bane of my existence.
Jeez.
I am so glad that FanDuel is cooked. This has nothing to do with the production people, because I know the people who produce Heat TV. They are awesome, okay? This has nothing to do with the talent of Heat TV. I know that they're awesome. It has everything to do with that godforsaken app, the FanDuel app, which if I want to rewind 2 seconds to see a dunk, will send me all the way back to the beginning of the game. This will send me to that stupid app that takes up 3/4 of my screen with a T-Mobile app, and I can't even watch the game. This has to do with the stupid statistics that it has on my phone, which I don't need phone. I'm there to watch the game, not a box score. So I cannot tell you, Vlad, I have not had many joys in my life like canceling my FanDuel subscription. I am so glad that it's gone.
So let me ask you this. Which one brought you better joy? The canceling of your FanDuel subscription or you obtaining the EuroLeague basketball subscription last year?
Last
summer.
I enjoy the Eurobasket app. I think it's a great app.
You love the Eurobasket.
I think it's a great app. It's a great app. It's like 1893 or something like that. Now it's moved. It's gone to DAZN, which I'm not happy about. But which, by the way, the Heat might end up going to DAZN too. Although it seems like the favorite, I guess, in the clubhouse, according to Barry Jackson. I think, didn't he say that the in-house stuff? I'll tell you what. I like the Marlins. I like the Marlins doing their own games. I think the MLB app is great. The TV production is great. I can switch broadcasts if I want to. I can go to I can, if you want to watch QAM with the video, you can do that very easily. They do the overlay. I think the Marlins doing their own production is awesome. But FanDuel, terrible. I am so glad it's gone. And it got worse when it went to FanDuel. Like when it was Bally's, it wasn't as bad. FanDuel, my God, it was what a joy that was to kick that bum ass app to the curb. And by the way, let me tell you something. I'll tell you where they really turned me off. Main Street Sports or whatever the hell it was called. The fact that they tried chicanery. You want to know when I knew they were a dirty app? Okay.
FanDuel?
The FanDuel people.
Okay, when did you know?
You want to know when I knew they were a dirty, rotten app? When? This is the move they did, Vlad. These mother bleepers double dipped the chip. Because what they did, they gave you one subscription was Marlins and
Panthers?
Magic games.
Oh.
And the other
was Panthers and
was Heat and Rays.
Huh?
And so they wanted me to buy 2 subscriptions.
So they Central and South Florida?
Yes. That's how you knew the FanDuel app was full of rat
Oh, no,
bastards,
that's nasty work.
and we should have known that they were crooks.
That's nasty work.
Because these mother bleepers decided, you know what we should do? We should crisscross applesauce Central Florida and South Florida.
No, it bothers me here. If you ever notice when we flip the channels, there are times we're getting Orlando Magic games.
Hey,
And Tampa Bay Ray games, and I'm like, we're South Florida. Where's the Marlins and Heat games?
there was a point where like Xfinity, they would give you both, which was nice.
Okay, cool.
But on the FanDuel app, when I cut the cord and I go FanDuel app, they're like, watch this. Marlins games in one package, Heat on the other. And I'm like, you know what? You just rat bastards.
You know what?
You know what you're doing, and you know what you're doing. And you want to know something? I'm glad the doors are shutting. I'm sorry. That may be rude to say as a media peer.
They were
but-
getting us. Because then they had the Sun Sports. Then you had to get Sun Sports to get the Miami teams.
Right. The Odyssey app has robbed nobody.
No.
It's free.
It's Odyssey, Florida. You get, boom.
It's free.
Odyssey, Miami, you get the Miami station.
You know, if you want to listen to Odyssey Orlando, guess what? You get it with the Odyssey app. This FanDuel app, they wanted to smack you across the face and then punch you in the stomach. I'm like, come on.
If you
What do you
smack
mean?
me in the face, you can't punch me in the stomach.
Dude, I'm telling you, Vlad. So let me tell you something. FanDuel app, I will miss you 0.0. You will go down as the worst sports app known to man. This again, so I cannot be clearer about this. Anybody who has worked for FanDuel, that is on the media side of things and the production side of things, you are fantastic people. So if you have held a FanDuel mic, this has nothing to do with you. Just like when people complained about our app back when it was radio.com, it had nothing to do with me. So don't yell at me, but I had to take the criticism. This has nothing to do with you. Production, media, this has to do with the technological people and the business people. All right, which didn't seem like they were very good at business. I cannot tell you how happy I am that I no longer have to pay money to those crooks who had the worst app known to man and seemingly only made it worse every single year. So I'm happy it's gone. I know wherever the Heat go, it'll be better. They'll get my money no matter what. I know wherever they go, whether it's in-house, somewhere else, it'll be better than the FanDuel. Because you want to know why, Vlad? Because it would be impossible to be worse. So kick rocks, FanDuel app.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're gone. Greatest cancellation of my life.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a great cancel culture there.
It was. That's the cancel culture I'm talking about. Anyway, we'll take a break. More to come. Hand out some game balls and game bums next. Oh, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to gather around the locker room for Tobin and Vlad to hand out their game balls and game bums because Leroy's not here today. He's not here today, Vlad.
I know.
He's not here. So we'll bounce back and forth on this. But my first game ball goes to Bam Adebayo. 25-10 yesterday. He finished the season averaging 20-10, and he had to carry the Olay twins all year. And unfortunately, all he wanted was to be out of the play-in, and they couldn't stop Olaying to do that. So he's back in the play-in. So
Nice.
But he does get my game ball because he had a very good season and he scored 83 points. So if that's what we're leaving with, I guess that's what we're leaving with. What's your first game ball there, Vlad?
Well, let me pull a Leroy. Guys, I got to give game ball to Rory McIlroy.
Ah, yes.
You know how difficult it is to win a major? And all the pressure he had to win one major, he went into this year as the Masters champion, and he shot 12 under after 36 holes. He had the biggest lead, the largest lead in Masters history after 36 holes. And if you watched on Saturday, on moving day, all the best golfers in the world were coming for him. A 6-stroke lead went to 3 after 2 holes. Yes.
Squeaky cheeks.
Squeaky cheeks. But the experience of winning last year helped him prevail. He is the first Masters back-to-back champion since Tiger Woods, 4th in Masters history. So kudos, my game ball, to one Rory McIlroy for wearing the green jacket a second time. By the way, it was good. He didn't have to hand it to somebody. Could you imagine that, Tobin?
You know what? I was wondering that. What happened? You know what? Because you know what, Vlad? As soon as he won, I didn't even watch the jacket
Oh
ceremony.
no, I watched it.
I went to stat. I was watching it on press row, and then once he won, I just turned the stats page on.
Yeah, whoever's the chairman of the Augusta National,
They just put it on
They
him?
just put it on him. But here's the thing:
Does he get a second one? Or do you wear the same one?
no, they gave him it was a different jacket because he wasn't wearing the original one. They had another jacket. But here was my question: what if he lost to, like, say, Justin Rose or Scheffler came back, and he was in the final group, and then, you're the guy that has to give the jacket, and to know that you were winning, you were leading the Masters throughout the whole 4 rounds.
Yep.
And then you lost, you choked it. Now you got to give the jacket to this guy that you were probably either your final partner, your final round partner. Yeah, it would have been tough, but kudos to Rory.
Well, speaking of squeaky cheeks and blowing it, my game bum goes to Jiří Procházka.
Bum.
Jiří Procházka. We talked a little bit about this with Jason Anik, but dude, that's the worst championship fumbling I can think of ever. Because even like Kamaru Usman, it was the last round. He kicked Leon Edwards' ass the whole time. Usman maybe on the way, he goes, hey, maybe he can match GSP. And he ends up ducking right into a head kick, right? But this was crazy because you saw that very handsome Carlos Ulberg blew out his knee.
I mean, yeah,
You're like, oh, he's done.
it's over.
It's over. You
It
kicked
should
him,
be.
And you could see a little bit, like, people are making fun of Jiří for saying he was showing mercy. I actually believe him because
You really think so?
because Yuri's a weirdo. He's a weirdo. He lives in the
It's
he
for
lives-
the championship.
no, I'm with you. He still screwed up. But I believe that he did show mercy because he lives in the forest. He's like a true martial artist. I think he felt bad about having to win the championship against and these guys. Some guys are like this. Look, some guys are smart. If they get fouled and they win the championship, oh well. Like when Aljamain Sterling won the title, he got illegally kneed, won the title. Everybody made fun of him. Anthony Lionheart Smith, remember, he fought John Jones, took an illegal knee. He could have won that fight. He didn't want to win the belt that way. Never was champion. So, Joshua Van, who was supposed to be in the co-main, Pantoja broke his shoulder and elbow. He's the champion. Some people are about it, some people are not. Jiří, with this dude with the bum leg in front of him, he was like, I do think it messed with him a little bit. He's like, is this where I do it? And that little piece of mercy, guess what? It's protect yourself at all times. And that dude left it open. Boom. and you
He
could just see
caught him. He just let the life
dude,
leave out of his
the
body.
lights went out, and you could just tell Jiří. And I feel a little bad because we had him in studio, and he's talking about he's going to go home to his baby, and we talked about, oh, it'd be cool to bring the belt back home. Now he's got to take that right home. Now look, maybe the joy of being a father will wash that all away. I hope that does happen for him. I hope that does happen.
I don't
for
know.
him.
That's tough there, Tobin.
Life as the champ is different, and so, I know he says he wants a rematch. I don't know how you get a rematch. Now, though, here's the thing: if a guy blew out his knee, he'll probably be fighting for the vacant belt anyway. But that was crushing, dude. I felt bad, but regardless, as much as I feel bad, it's still a game bum. What's your game bum, Vlad?
Justin Rose, man.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Justin Rose. How many times you gonna be a bridesmaid? This time you were like you had the lead in the Masters in the back nine. You've been runner-up 3 times already. Choked.
yeah,
He choked it again.
it's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. But I would say, listen, I thought after 6-stroke lead, I wasn't gonna be captivated by the Masters. It had me glued to my seat for all weekend.
Yeah,
It
it always does. That I'm not the biggest golf fan in the world, even though I did host Tea Time with Leroy Horde when Todd Castleberry left us. But I'll always like a back nine on a major on a Sunday will always get me because it's captivating. If it's because even everybody can understand it. It's like, hey, can you either hold this off? Can you not choke? It's very human. These Masters on the these majors on the final round. If somebody's trying to hold on for dear life, so and it's beautiful to see. Hello, friend.
You just love seeing some of the greatest in the world be
Right,
common.
yeah,
Just like you.
it's crazy though.
Pedestrian.
Dude, it's crazy to see when they do screw up though, how they can get themselves out of trouble. It's very impressive. I'm just like, man, that was like you were sitting on wood chips and you were still able to.
I mean, yeah, guys are hitting shots through pine straws and
Yeah.
he's getting like 10 feet close to the cup. It's like, wait a minute.
It's very impressive. It's very, very impressive. All right. So those are your game balls and game bums here on a Monday, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we will get you caught up with your headlines. And I want to get into this Ruben Bane story, which was very unfortunate that came out yesterday regarding something that happened with Ruben Bane while at the U before his sophomore year. And people are saying this is another Laramie Tunsil situation. I'm not quite sure about that, but it definitely is worth discussing for a guy who has played here and, maybe now we'll be there when the Dolphins pick at 11. We'll have to see with that and just the whole timing of it, which was interesting as well. So we'll take a break. More to come here on Tobin and Leroy. We're back after this. Now, welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you. Leroy's out today. He'll be back in tomorrow. We'll reconvene and get his thoughts from the weekend and whatnot. But let's get to our headlines here on this lovely Monday, which are brought to you by Doral Kia. You always pay less with your Pricito at Doral Kia. Visit them at Doral Kia or DoralKia.com. The Marlins will be back in action tonight. They open up a 3-game series with the Braves at 7:15. Aori Perez is on the hill against Grant Holmes. Aori has not looked awesome so far this year. You know, he's been getting knocked around a little bit. So we'll see what he's got, because the Marlins, they got swept by the Tigers this weekend. Not awesome. The Heat, they finished the year, the regular season, with a 143-117 win over the Hawks. They will face the Hornets on Tuesday, 7:30. So you'll be able to hear that game right here on FM 104.3. 6:15 preheat with Alejandro and Solana and Tommy Tig. Mind you, there are no more local television broadcasts this year. So if you want the local broadcast, Jason Jackson and Amy Audibert have that for you. And you'll be able to hear that right here on WQAM. Your other playing games, Portland and Phoenix tomorrow night at 10. Wednesday, Orlando at Philadelphia at 7:30. And the reason that's on Wednesday is because Philadelphia could not play on Tuesday because the Flyers play in their building, and Orlando could not beat all the intangibles from the Celtics. So that's where they're at. Boy, Franz Wagner missed a 3. It wasn't even close there at the end. Yeesh. That was cool. That was woof.
That's sad, man, if you're Orlando.
Yeah, it is. I'm not in any place to judge anybody right now because the Heat haven't beaten Orlando this century, but still, Luka Garza's, flexing on you. That's tough.
It's not good.
Golden State takes on the LA Clippers at 10. I will say, you know what? Those Clippers, that Ty Lue, he turned that team around from where they were. They were a disaster. Playing's not great, but he was able to get them respectfully.
So you're not out on I might have seen this guy at Ventura Mall one time. You're not out on him, right?
On Kawhi,
Yes.
if his contract gets voided?
Yes.
I don't know what that looks like, because he's awesome, Vlad. Don't get me wrong.
I know he is.
But he is getting older. He's had plenty of injuries, and I don't think Kawhi Leonard does anything for the cheapskates. So,
and then you got to deal with his dad and his uncle.
Well, I don't mind that. We can get him courtside seats, whatever he wants. Uncle Dennis, have Uncle Dennis sit next to Mickey Harrison for all I care if it gets Kawhi here, But I don't. But it is a little bit odd. It's not like a couple years ago. But dude, he is a freak. He is an absolute freak. And I got to be honest with you. Look, beggars can't be choosers at this point. And the one thing that the Heat do have hanging on their head is that stupid pick that they owe to the Hornets. So it's not like he can stink for very long. If you're gonna stink, you can only have a 1-year stinker next year, and then you got to get right. So yeah, they may have to lean into some more veterans with size. I don't think it'll be Kawhi, because my idea is here's what's going to happen. LeBron will end up wherever LeBron ends up, and Kawhi will probably just go to the Lakers, right? That seems, he doesn't want to leave the West Coast.
Either Giannis or Kawhi is a Laker.
Right. Or and then the loser probably goes to the Warriors for Jimmy's contract.
Yeah.
Something like that. The playoff seeding goes like this for Saturday's slate. Toronto at Cleveland, 1:00. Minnesota at Denver, 3:30. That's always a fun series. Minnesota kind of has Denver's number, but we don't know how healthy Ant-Man is. And then Atlanta chose to face the Knicks, 6:00.
Thank you.
Game 1 at the Mecca. And then Houston and LA, the Lakers, 8:30 is your feature game. LeBron James having to do this with nobody. He's got no Luka. He's got no Reeves.
He's done it before.
Not this age though, dude.
It's
a lot. It's a big ask. And you got
I'll tell you
podcast
this,
boys, your coach.
If he wins a first round series with these guys,
very impressive.
That
would be very impressive.
That might be more impressive than the 2018 run. And that was one of the greatest runs I've ever seen an individual have. When he had to lead who was on that team?
That was the year when he traded away Dwayne Wade and Isaiah Thomas, and they got
Rodney Hood, Darren Williams?
Let me look. The 28th. Remember that year started.
No, George Hill.
Remember they started that year. They had D Wade. Didn't they have D Rose on that team too?
They had D Rose.
LeBron's had some weird teammates. Like when they got past their prime, he just likes to have everybody in the fold.
Well, I mean, he tries. He tries.
Roster. Let's see.
They had Larry Nance Jr.
Oh yeah.
Kyle Korver,
Jeff Green, George Hill. Those were the guys that were there left, right? Like that was all the trades.
After the trade, those were the guys that was left.
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder was there before the trade.
Kendrick Perkins was on that roster?
Kendrick Perkins is on every roster. He was always on the bench.
Chetty Osman.
Yes, Chetty Osman. He was always the guy that was the first guy celebrating LeBron after a game winner. Remember Isaiah Thomas was on that team.
No, I remember that. I do. I remember the guys I remember on the team early was D Wade, which D Wade in the Cavs jersey. Superman without his cape. Derrick Rose and Isaiah Thomas. Those were like the weird ones. But I will say, if Houston can't win this series against a limping Lakers team, the Lakers had a lot of success against them this year.
No, this is not the team. Listen, if they were healthy, this would be the team the Lakers would want to face.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. Not, and I think everybody wanted to face the Lakers.
What's up with Luka's super Slovenian Spanish hamstring treatment?
What do you mean?
He went to Europe to go get like super treatment.
Yeah, he went to Germany where everybody goes.
Is he fixed?
I don't know.
What's the point of going to Germany if you're not fixed?
I don't know. Blood cycle.
Yeah.
That's what Kobe did.
It is what Kobe did, but he did that in the offseason, didn't he?
I don't know.
I thought he did. Anyway, so there's that. Mike Vrabel, he will not have his pre-draft press conference.
I wonder why.
Must have nothing to say about prospects.
Yes, he might have something to say about marital prospects. Man, she really unloaded on her husband so many times on different mediums.
Yeah, she did. Almost makes me wonder, like, who do we think was the one after this? Like, do you think it was Mrs. Vrabel or you think it was Mr. Rossini?
I think it might have been Mr. Rossini. I'm gonna say why. If I'm a CEO of a Shake Shack, I got some money. Can't be having my
That's what he is.
He's the CEO of Shake Shack.
Really?
Yeah,
that's rich.
I'm saying
he's the CEO of Shake Shack.
Yes,
he's way richer than Mike Vrabel. Kind of one makes you wonder if they're that kind of rich. Maybe he's got some ashtray on the side. Who knows what's going on over there? Which then would make me think maybe it's Mrs. Vrabel.
Apparently, he was the one that hired. They saying that he's the one that hired the PI.
How do people know that?
Let's see. This is the source.
Interesting. Yeah, you gotta always wonder about the source.
Yeah, but they got so many pictures of them together. There's a bar pic now.
JFix says open marriages are a thing now. Yeah, I mean, especially if you have a lot of road life, right? Like people do that. They got like that life on the road.
Yeah, but she comes from a traditional Italian family, and
not when you get that Shake Shack money, traditions go out the window.
I'm just saying,
everybody's getting those milkshakes. They bring all the boys to the yard. I'll take my -1.
Yes, please. Okay. Jeez.
-1.
Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, no pre-draft press conference for Mike. So for Mike Vrabel. So yesterday, as the Heat game was going on, this story came out. This guy's name is Oliver Connolly. He writes for the Read Optional, which I've never heard of.
Read Optional.
The Read Optional. I've never heard of it. But he broke the news that apparently a lot of people knew, but nobody broke the news, which is a little strange. But it was a story that Ruben Bane, of course, star Miami Hurricanes pass rusher, everybody thinks is, at the worst, going to be a top 15 pick, but I think he's probably going to be a top 10 at the worst, you would think. Good things don't happen to the Dolphins. But there was a story that he broke yesterday that Ruben Bane was involved in a fatal traffic collision in Miami, March of 2024. So this was going into his sophomore season, which was probably his worst college season. A lot of injuries that year, but maybe this had something to do with it as well. But Here's just from the article. According to records and reports reviewed by the Reed Optional, the incident had not previously been reported. Bain, then a sophomore at the University of Miami, was driving on I-95 in Miami, 4 a.m. on the 17th of March, 2024, when his vehicle struck another before careering into concrete barriers on both sides of the highway, according to police crash records reviewed by the Reed Optional. One of the 4 passengers in Bain's car was Destiny Betts, a 22-year-old college student from Georgia who was visiting Miami for a spring break. She suffered incapacitating injuries and was rushed to Ryder Trauma Center on the scene. Never regained consciousness. She died on June 13, 2024, after spending 3 months in a coma. Second passenger was hospitalized with injuries. 2 others were Miami Hurricanes players, including Wesley Basainth. Both teammates of Bain at Miami at the time, both eligible for the NFL draft in 2026. The police crash report states that Bain operated his vehicle in a careless or negligent manner following the collision with a second vehicle. Bain's car, owned by a company of Miami Sports 27 Inc., struck the east concrete wall before being redirected into the west concrete wall when it came to arrest. It was later told sustaining disabling damage. No field sobriety test was administered at the scene. Bain was cited for careless driving. That charge was dismissed approximately 2 weeks before Betts died, as she remained in a coma. So it goes on to say that there was there was a GoFundMe for her. League sources say that they are aware of the incident and continue to investigate. It remains unclear if it will affect his draft position. Quote, it feels like it could be a Laramie Tunsil situation all over again, a league source told the Reed Optional. It doesn't feel like he has been transparent with us. We are concerned about the multiple incidents, another team executive said. Bain also had a careless driving in 2025. That was that citation was also dismissed. So this story comes out. Obviously, it's kind of like the first thing that's been a red flag that's been put on Ruben Bane. That's, I guess, character-wise, outside of his short arms. It's like the only other thing on him. This article did reach out to the family, and this should be put out. The Reed Optional reached out, and this is what Destiny's family said to this author. It said, as her family remained deeply committed to honoring the memory in a meaningful and appropriate way. Destiny's passing was a result of a tragic accident that occurred several years ago. While the loss remains incredibly painful for our family, we have worked hard to find peace and move forward. At this time, we are not seeking public attention surrounding this tragedy and respectfully request that our family's privacy be honored. We also wish Mr. Bain the best as he continues his life and career.
See, that's nice. That is a family that definitely, it's crazy. It's crazy how these stories come out now, right when he's about to get drafted. When the Canes were doing well and there was early talk of Heisman talk, for him, there was no mention of this story. It's always right when somebody's on the precipice of accomplishing a big feat that this story comes out. This is unfortunate, and thoughts and prayers to that with that family.
Yeah,
lives were lost, so it's a very unfortunate.
It's unbelievably
accident.
Yeah, it's an unbelievably sad thing that happened to this family and this woman, and it's, I'm sure, a very tragic thing, then a scary thing that Ruben Bane apparently went through as well.
But who's bringing this up at this moment? And if the family's not the one that's bringing this up or mentioning this, why would somebody want to like look at yourself in the mirror sometimes? Like, don't you have any respect? Like, why would you want to bring this up? This could be, what if the family was moving on? They didn't want to remember this, or they've been trying not to remember this, and then all of a sudden now this gets public traction. National traction. Now it's out in the public again.
Well, the thing that's interesting about this is, it would feel like when this person who's quoted in this article, an executive who says, well, we don't feel like he's been transparent, it's almost a Laramie Tunsil. It's like, well, do they want Ruben Bane to drop? Like, is that why this is out there? Because then the follow-up then thereafter is, the other reports are there's apparently a lawsuit around this that was settled years ago. Now, I don't know if that's an insurance company. I don't know. Maybe more details will come out, but I don't know if that's an insurance company. I don't know if that was Ruben Bane. I don't know if it's anybody representing Ruben Bane or what settled it. I don't even know if it's settled with the family or if it's with the vehicle that he hit. I don't know. But look, situations like this are awful. Should it, ruin Ruben Bane's career if he wasn't charged with anything, if he wasn't, even given a sobriety test that was there, if there was anything. Like, look, driving at 4 a.m., I know everybody jumps to the conclusions that, hey, something must have been amiss here. We don't know. I mean, listen, you've driven on I-95 before. There's been some crazy things. I don't know if somebody could have been on their phone. I don't know what the reasons are. But it's just unbelievable. Yeah, it just you hear like something like this, you're like, man, that's just unbelievably awful that he went through something like this. But look, I'm going to be transparent with you. If you told me today, you know all this, does this mean you want your team not to draft him? I'm going to tell you, no, it doesn't really affect me, Vlad. I'm sorry. It doesn't, you know.
I mean, it's sad to say. Is it sad to say? I mean, it's really.
I mean,
it's an unfortunate incident, but I don't think that.
It's an unfortunate incident. We don't know what happened. It wasn't even like what the, like the Jalen Carter situation, right? Where he was alleged he was racing.
Right. And he drove out
and he ended up like
getting a car ride back to the.
Right. And wasn't that like he was started with reckless driving, which I believe is worse than careless. Maybe I'm sitting here and I'm justifying it because obviously we have a lot of love for Ruben Bane. And I can't deny that there's any part of that because obviously that's probably the number one player that I would want the Miami Dolphins to draft. But I also don't think that's something that happened 2 years ago, something that he wasn't charged with anything on, and the family seems to be very at peace with, and okay with him. I don't think that's something that something that should ruin his career, ruin his life.
And here's another thing, Tobin. We're in nasty times right now where it might be an agent whose player that they want to go to a particular team or get drafted higher maybe than Ruben Bane. People might be putting these stories out just to have teams and fan bases start looking at individuals like, oh, I don't know if you want to draft this person. Even though there are some fan bases that might not mind this, that could see this as this was an accident, and they don't want to hold one situation. They don't want to hold that on against a person, and there are others that might. So you haven't heard anything about Ruben Bane other than the short arms, right? And this was happened a couple of years ago. I bet you talked to the people about Ruben Bane from that incident, from that accident, they probably tell you that changed him and he's a different player, or he's just not what they're perceiving, what the media is perceiving him.
Yeah, I mean, you're not that, like, again, we don't know what happened, but again, this is something that happens when he's 18, 19 years old,
right?
You're going to be in the midst of growing up. Hell, listen, if he was the one that was on, I don't know, again, I don't want to speculate, but like if he was the underage one and there were people who were over 20 in the car, maybe he was the one who was designated driving that night, and something didn't happen, and the accident happened. I don't know. And it would be foolish of me to just speculate on what happened. All I know is it sounds like Ruben Bane went through something really heartbreaking. A heartbreaking incident that obviously somebody lost their life, and that there's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from that. Is it something though that should take him out of the first round? It should ruin his NFL career? I don't know, man. I got a hard time believing anybody's gonna go for that. I don't know about that one.
You think somebody? I don't think.
But it does feel nefarious. Like it feels like, because here's the other thing. So everybody comes then out there afterwards, and they're like, oh yeah, all the teams knew about this. Everybody seemed to know this was around Ruben Bane, but it's only being reported now, which means somebody feels like they wanted him to drop.
Right. That's what I'm saying, because everything to me is always timing. The same way with Laramie Tunsil. Like the stuff all the way to 6 hours right before he's about to get drafted, the day of. You having these players still going to teams, meeting many teams, doing last minute interviews. You get around the execs, you talk to other agents, you probably starting to get a gauge of where certain players might be drafted. And I would think, if you look at the film, Ruben Bane's film jumps out at you. So there might be a person or a team that's interested in taking Ruben Bane high, that another agent might want their player to go to that situation, or might want to be drafted there. So yeah, I think there's a lot of trickery going on in the background, but it's just interesting that literally 2 weeks, no, not even 2 weeks, we're literally 11 days,
10 days away.
10 days and then this comes out? Like
Yeah.
this didn't come out during the national championship. This didn't come out during the postseason.
It didn't come out before. It didn't come out in his college career. That's
It
the other
hasn't
thing.
come out at all in his
didn't come-
college career.
Didn't come out during his college career, which, yeah, it's surprising. But the thing is, you know, there was a citation that was dropped. Wasn't even charged with anything.
Right. Like that's the other thing. You're talking about 2 years that you would have hoped it went through the proper channels of being investigated, everything looked upon, and if they found him, they deemed him not to be any more than the ticket that they gave him, that he didn't do anything more, then you got to accept that. And the other thing is the other family, the family of the victim, has accepted this.
Right. And we don't know. We know apparently it's reported there was a lawsuit. We don't know who they sued. We don't know who sued. We don't know if that family got a settlement. We don't know if that's somebody else. We don't know if that was through an insurance company. We don't know. It's just reported on that. So it's a lot of murkiness around it. I just say, like, it's an unfortunate thing. I'm finding the timing of it pretty curious. If you told me today, hey, you know this, the Dolphins still draft Ruben Bane, I don't think this is something that would deter me from John Eric Sullivan drafting the guy, because it happened a couple of years ago, and people are saying, well, this one report, we don't think he's been transparent. Well, okay, is he the only one? Because everybody else seems to think that they know about this. It just wasn't out there for the public to know. And look, these draft candidates, they do everything on them to try and find everything about them. So I don't know. But we'll take a break. More to come here on the show. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. It is Tobin and Leroy here with you on FM 104.3 WQAM. Weather on WQAM. And those reports brought to you by Tornado Roofing and Contracting, helping homeowners stay safe this storm season. Visit tornadoroofing.com for a free roof and window estimate. Let's see. Heading over to the Windowplex. My curtains are down right now, so that doesn't help me. According to my phone, mostly sunny, 80 degrees, high of 82 with a low of 71. Cloudy conditions expected around 5 p.m. Wind gusts up to 20 miles per hour. So, hold on to your shirts. Streaming live on YouTube and Twitch. 104.3 WQAM. Lito Ford says, do you know that bare knuckle fighting started a new league with bare knuckle ice wars? Yeah. We had somebody, I think we had like the president of that guy on. Let me tell you something, dude. If there's something in the fight world that's happened and you're asking, I've probably heard of it.
Good weekend of fighting, Tobin.
Yeah, dude, it was. It was a good weekend of fighting. Pretty wild. Humble and Kind says, we need all the facts on the Ruben Bane thing. We don't know. Agreed. But even if, I think the thing that is look, it's unfortunate, and that's even as an understatement as it gets, that somebody lost their life. But he wasn't charged with anything. Doesn't appear that there was nefarious play with anything here as of right now. So I don't know what this is going to do for his draft status on all this. If this happened, see, the thing with the Laramie Tunsil thing, people want to compare it to that. And this guy says, well, it could be a Laramie Tunsil situation all over again. This is why I'm skeptical on that. The Laramie Tunsil thing happened on draft day. Okay? That's the thing that threw the Molotov cocktail into his draft day. The gas mask video, dude, if the gas mask video happened 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 10 days before the draft, and everybody stepped back and they said, this guy is bar none the best lineman in the draft, even if he was high as a kite, Yogi,
You're taking him.
people are taking him in the top 5.
But you can't have that video be released 5, 6
Right.
hours prior to the beginning of the NFL draft when you're the number 1 pick that everybody
Correct.
assumes you will be.
So if nobody knew about this, Vlad, and then the story drops the day of the draft, okay, maybe we'd have a Laramie Tunsil situation. But if you're telling me, hey, something really unfortunate that Ruben Bane was the driver of a car, a fatal accident happened, and it happened 2 years ago when he was a kid, and everybody seems to know about it in the league, and the family is at peace with it and wishes him nothing but the best for whatever the reasons that there are, whether that's because they know Ruben Bane personally and they think he's a great guy, or because there was a financial settlement and they want to move on, or it's just because of their peace of mind and they want to move on. If they want to move on, doesn't everybody else have to move on?
Well, especially if they never knew about it. That's what I'm saying. Like, we never knew about it,
Right.
so it wasn't even
If the family's at peace,
right. That's what I'm saying. So if
and
the
he didn't commit a crime,
and the family saying they don't want to even,
and they don't want to talk about this,
but that being said, somebody's gonna be an a-hole, try to get traction, and we'll continue talking about it because let's be honest, it's been kind of slow these past couple of weeks with the NFL draft. You pretty much everybody knew since last year that Mendoza was going to be the number 1 pick, and there wasn't really anything much to talk about in the combine. Free agency happened and it was gone. It's been kind of a quiet draft.
I'm not even saying that reporting this is wrong, because, like, look, if it's a thing that nobody knows about and there's police reports about, it's not like the guy made it up. So, like, I'm not saying that reporting it is wrong. I'm just saying, okay, but the other part of if the most important thing is the family is at peace with it and they wish him the best, what else is there to the story?
And the other thing is you've really never heard anything about Ruben Bane being just anything. Like, he's just a good kid. So you've never heard of him being late to practice or being being upset or being not being a good teammate or anything like that. There hasn't been any flaws on him, like character wise, other than the only flaw they have is his hands. So therefore, it's like people trying to find a flaw, a wart in someone to either bring them down and either elevate somebody else up.
Yeah. I mean, maybe something else could be presented within, the next 10 days that would change my mind, but it would have to be pretty damning. Because ultimately this just seems like something that really awful happened to this young lady. Tragic, and her family. But we don't have all of the information of what happened other than the police and the law doesn't seem that anything illegal happened because he wasn't even arrested for anything. He was cited. So I don't know. And yeah, I could definitely say that I probably want that to be the case because I really like the guy as a player. There is a sports conditioning to that, but that also is where we are with the facts right now in the story. Like I can't sit here and reach for things that I don't know about other than what's been reported.
If he starts dropping, you can't let good teams like the Kansas City Chiefs just have a Ruben Bane just fall to them.
Well, that's where it's like, okay, well, this guy who reported it, who he gets it from, it's hard not to feel like that's the motivation here, and that's the kind of dirty side of all of this because the family didn't want this all brought up and it's brought to light. Well, why is this really out there then? Because if everybody quote unquote knew, but nobody wanted it out there,
then why is it out there?
Bro.
Somebody wanted it out there because it just to get teams questioning, maybe reshuffling their board. It's just weird, like out of nowhere. And mind you, once that news came out, it spread.
Like things are like wildfire.
Yeah, I'm getting all these group texts like, hey, what's wrong? What happened? What's going on here? Like,
because even the way it's like the front of TMZ now, it's everywhere.
Right. So it's like now you're questioning them.
But that's why I'm saying I do think if it's true that all the teams had the intel on this, if this happened the day of the draft, like Laramie Tunsil did, okay, maybe people would be scared off. 10 days, hard to imagine. That's
and even with the
that's going to put it that place.
And even with the Tunsil situation, I find it hard to believe that teams didn't know about he liked to choke. I just think the video of him.
The video is crazy. No, the video was
bad.
The video is crazy. And then the day that had happened and the Dolphins took him, remember he also admit to getting paid for grades or something like that?
Yeah, it was like a bad. It was a bad.
It was a bad day
for the Tunsil.
Good player.
I mean, you know what? He knows how to negotiate contracts.
Take a break. We'll mix things up in the mixed bag next. All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Tobin and Leroy here with you on FM 104.3 WQAM. Take you guys up until 2 here on the program. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Oh, we got the full bangs today.
How are you today?
I'm doing good, doing good.
How was Tortuga?
Yeah, how was the turtle?
Kind of feel like I'm still like on recovery mode, but everything is good. It was a
Did you
fantastic
go all
time.
days or did you just go Saturday?
I mainly went Saturday. I wasn't able to.
Oh, yeah, you're, yeah.
I wasn't able to
What's
go
Brittany
yesterday.
sound like?
I mean, if I sound like this, probably worse than me.
Brittany's all right. I saw her yesterday. She didn't sound that bad.
Okay, good. She didn't sound
She-
like Kings Notre Dame.
No. She sounded, oh my God, that was bad.
Yeah,
But I met up with her. She was a good time to be around. So I'm
cool.
glad I was able to run into her.
Very good. Very good. John Jewell, he wants to congratulate you for your boyfriend's win at the UFC this weekend.
I
So
did
congratulations.
apologize, and
Congratulations to you and Carlos.
Thank you so much.
I did apologize. So, and I, gave your man credit.
Mhm.
On an
I
injured
love
leg,
how that's
too.
the thing now too. So
Very impressive. I saw, well, I think you know who I saw in the locker room, Vlad.
Who did you? Gabe Vincent?
Saw Gabe Vincent.
See,
in the
now
locker
this
room.
was question. Now,
it's becoming crazy now. It's like a
Snuck
triangle.
I
snuck a pick for JFig, just her.
I'm just saying that's 3 places in a row where your boyfriends were at. Carlos was at the Caseo Center Saturday night. There's Gabe Sunday.
I think he heard that his throne was like, the what?
The Cupid Center. Little heart arrows.
Point for Tobin.
Gabe Vincent, he was just sitting there. Like, you allowed to do that? You can just sit in the locker room?
I guess
Grow up, dude. Go play with the Hawks.
he misses Miami.
No, that was clear. That was very clear. Well, get to the mixed bag. Speaking of Miami, here was Eric Spoelstra yesterday. That's what he had to say about the play-in.
It is like the NCAA tournament. It's like FIBA. It's harrowing. It's nuts. You have to absolutely embrace it. It makes you feel alive. That's for sure. If you're a competitor, you don't want to have to go. Like, you don't want the season to go the way it can to put you in the play-in. But once you're in it, it's exhilarating, and you have to embrace the competition. Embrace how every single possession really does matter. It's a game 7.
Oh, man. I'm sorry I have to do this to you, Spo.
-1 for propaganda.
You sound like a sicko. What are you talking
I
about?
ain't gonna hold you. This what
What do you mean?
You ever have your friend try to convince you something and you're just looking at him like, no.
What do you mean?
Like
dude?
he's trying to convince himself while he's telling you. That's what Spo sounded like. No, this is
great.
Oh man, this is harrowing. This is, this feels like a game 7.
Really? It does. It didn't sound like that after those Raptors games, Coach Spo. Feel alive. Alive, baby. You know what make me feel alive? Being the 6th seed, getting a little resty poo. No? Okay. If you say so, Spo. If you say so. Rory McIlroy, he won the Masters. Scott Van Pelt, some refer to him as SVP. This is what he had to say on where Rory ranks all time among golf greats.
That's the harder question to answer than the fact that we got the answer to the question of what last year did, right? It frees him up in a way that allows him to play this Sunday, not chasing, but completely comfortable with and secure in the knowledge that if I mess this up, I get to come back next year. And that freedom, along with a cushion of 2 shots on 18, shows itself. And it changed the entire tenor of the day. I think people were almost rooting for someone else just for a different story. Not that they're not happy that Rory won. It's just, no, we did that last year. Like, it'd be cool if Justin Rose won or if Cameron Young won. But in Rory winning, what it does is it stamps him in another category, if you will. I mean, 6 equals Sir Nick. And you start putting him on graphics with black and white pictures of Harry Vardon, whose name is on a trophy that's given to the guy that has the lowest stroke average. So, I mean, Rory already was a forever golfer. Andy North tells me, one of the greatest that we've ever had. And now I feel like sky's the limit. I don't know. That's cliche. I just think he's completely freed up. And as I said on the broadcast the other day, it's like the line from the Joker and Batman. You have nothing to threaten me with. And that freedom showed itself.
All right. Dade South says, are you going to lighten up on Rory now, Tobin? I lightened up. I gave him his flowers last year. Good for him. I definitely didn't feel the same animosity anymore because, like, once it's over, it's over. You know?
Somebody brought up a great point. This is something I would think about.
Hmm?
Ever since the divorce, ever since he broke up with his
I think they got back together.
Is that the same wife?
Yeah, I think they're back together, dude. I don't think they divorced. I think they separated.
Didn't he break up with somebody? He broke up with Lindsay.
He broke up with
he
broke up with a tennis player.
Yeah.
But then he got
he started winning.
And then I think he was going to get divorced, and then I think they called it back. So she may have saved him. She's like, "You're playing like a bum." I don't know if she sounds like that.
Vlad is quick to go ahead and just blame the relationship.
Is she Irish?
Ooh, me?
Yeah,
The relationship.
you instantly said, "Oh, it's because of the breakup."
Well, technically, a chatter brought it up earlier.
I said it. Yeah, somebody from the chat brought this up.
But you're quick to see that stuff.
Well, I don't even know, but I think she may get credit for it because I think
Erica Stoll and him are still together.
yeah, I think they pulled back on that divorce
Since 2017.
No, he filed divorce.
He filed for divorce
in May 2024, citing
but then I think he took it back.
But he voluntarily dismissed the petition in 24. Yes, the same a month later.
And then he won the Masters.
Exactly.
So whatever happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever happened. But yeah, he cited divorce. So therefore, if look at you.
She was born in New York. So.
Oh, she's not Irish?
She's not Irish.
No.
She's not like from Peaky Blinders part of New York?
That's what happened when you start messing around with those
It's
Yankees.
asking, is his wife from Ireland? And it says no. So it's not Irish, man.
All right, fair enough.
Crazy.
Charles Barkley, he was talking about the 65-game rule. Everybody was all up in arms. Wemby, he met the criteria. Joker, he met the criteria. So the only guy who I think is in question is Luka, who I think was a game short because of his injury. But this is what Barkley had to say about everybody whining about it.
I don't think 65 game is a lot to ask, man. Shut the hell up. Y'all voted on that in the collective bargaining, and now y'all want to complain. If y'all wasn't sitting on your ass half the time sipping margaritas and stuff, they want to put the 65 game threshold in there. Shut the hell up.
I agree with him. This whole thing. Can I tell you something? It's very interesting how these podcasters, some of them have become head coaches, these podcasters get all crazy about rules. Dude, I remember when this was a thing 3 years ago, when it was like, oh, they got to do something because people are winning awards who don't play very much, load management, And then all of a sudden, oh no, Joker has a year, and Cade Cunningham has a year, and Wemby has a okay, tough. Sorry. Then don't make a rule. But you guys can't sit here and be like, we have a rule. Oh no, the rule took out our favorite guys. Now we can't vote for them. Heavens to Betsy, what will we do? Vote for somebody else. And if you're going to sit here and be like, well, that's going to take away the history of the... No, it won't. Because history will show we made a rule. And the problem was they didn't live up to that rule. But now everyone's going to shut the hell up about it because they're Sweet Prince, Joker, and Wemby. They hit their criteria. So no one's going to whine about it. But this whole time, everybody's like, oh, what are we going to do? They didn't hit the 65-game rule. We should change. No changing it. No changes. Sorry. That's the rule. 65 is fine. What is that? That's 17 games you get to miss?
17.
That's like a month of basketball. Get the hell out of here. These stupid podcasters, they come out here. They all they do is fodder about things. Look what it's done to our game. We got... They bitch about super teams. Now we can't make trades. They bitch about the regular season. Now we got stupid tournaments. They bitch about players sitting. Now they bitch about players not being able to miss games. Can you all just make up your damn mind? Or maybe just leave it alone, Adam Silver. How about Adam Silver? How about you have a set and you actually just not listen to everything these podcasters have to say? left and right and give the Heat back their pick. That's really what you should be worried about. But instead, you're sitting here worried about podcasters and whether or not what are the podcasters going to have to say about this? Oh, I don't know who to vote for. The other guy who played 65 games. Well, but he wasn't the best player. He showed up for work. Sorry. Oh, but Luka wanted to be there for the birth of his kid. Tough. Don't blow out your hamstring. I don't know what to tell you. He should file an appeal. No appeal. 65 is 65. You know what I've learned these days? Nobody respects numbers anymore. Everybody likes to finagle numbers. Oh, 60 is kind of like 83. No, it's not. 83 is 83. 65 is 65. You guys want to be a bunch of caveat cowboys over here. Oh, well, I remember a couple of years ago when the Celtics did this, when the Heat beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they were like, oh, well, we won the most of the quarters. Oh, who gives a rat's ass? You didn't win at the end of the game. What is it at the end? Oh, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I don't know. How about you stop being lazy, podcasters, and maybe vote for somebody besides the 4 players you talk about on every podcast? Wemby and Joker and Luka. Oh, tough. Sorry. Oh, it was a lot of injuries this year? That's tough. Figure it out. Get into the research. Vote for somebody else. I just think it's so dumb. How could you guys bitch about it when you guys complained about it in the first place? You're the reason it's here. This Adam Silver, all he does is listen to you guys. He's a parrot. What did Zach Lowe say? That's literally what happens all the time. This Bill Simmons thing.
By the way, if the Heat get a top 5 pick, he will be speaking very well, very nicely.
Can't listen to fantasy. Plus, they're going to win the play. It doesn't matter. They're going to ruin it.
You don't even want that to happen.
What? I don't want it to happen? Don't tell me what I want and don't want. Don't tell me what I want and don't want. Maybe I do want it. We win a couple of playing games. I'll feel froggy about beating Detroit. They're not ready.
Who's not ready?
Detroit's not ready.
You can't even say it. You can't even.
They're not ready.
You can't even say it with full Tobinism.
Hoop selective. They don't like it. Shut up, dude. Like the guy sits there and he's like, oh, what are we going to do? Who do we vote for? I don't know, dude. Open up Basketball Reference and pick the best guys who actually played enough games for the stupid rules that you whined about in the first place because everybody was load managing. You guys have solved nothing. Nothing. The same. And now what are we going to do about the tanking? And then guess what? Somebody's going to win the lottery that you don't deem. And then you're like, we got to change the rules again. Adam, I had podcasted about it. Let me make a new rule. Crazy, dude. So dumb. I don't know who to vote for because 65 games. Maybe it should have been 63, 62. Keep changing it. Who did I hear on the other day? Was it Stan Van Gundy? I heard, where the hell was he on? He was on a podcast, and he was like, what do you start? He's like, 65 is 65. What are we going to change it for? It might have actually been on Zach Lowe's podcast, now that I think about it. And he's like, I don't know what to do, Stan. And he goes, what do? You vote for the guys who play 65 games. What do you mean, what do you do? That's stupid. What do I do, Zach? What did I do? This commissioner is a parrot. So dumb.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Until he gives you a nice draft pick.
Yeah, well, he won't because he gave me a 2nd-round pick. He could have done the right thing and fixed it.
Maybe he's helping you fix it.
Anyway, here's one of those aforementioned podcasters, Brian Windhorst, on the coaching changes.
It's going to be quite a few. And I don't think that making the playoffs in certain cases is going to save some coaches their jobs, so we might even see another layer of it after the first round. So I honestly think I've been saying somewhere between 5 and 12. And I'm saying that basically to give myself a big grace period. But guys, it's going to probably be more than 5 when you include the midseason moves that have already happened. But we're going to see a lot. And we're going to see some front office maneuvers, too. We've already seen 2 during the year with Dallas and Chicago. And there's going to be more, unfortunately, for some of these guys.
All right. Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out, though. We'll find out where Doc Rivers lands next.
Nah, he's gonna be doing games with his son.
Maybe
on the bench.
Oh God, they got to stop that.
Come on.
We'll take a break. Get you caught up with your headlines. Back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. It is Tobin and Leroy here with you on FM 104.3 WQAM. Take you guys up until 2 here on the program. Let's get to our headlines this hour, which are brought to you by Doral Kia. You always pay less with your pricito at Doral Kia. Visit us at Doral Kia or DoralKia.com. As the Marlins will be back at it tonight. They open up a 3-game series with the Atlanta Braves. That is a 7:15 first pitch tonight from Atlanta. And then the Marlins will be back home to take on the Brew Crew. Marlins dropped to 8-8. They got swept this weekend for those who didn't see it. Swept by the it's a 4 is it a 4-game series? 3-game series.
3-game series.
3-game series, excuse me. It was down at another Atlanta series that's coming up later in the year. 3-game series. 7:15. All 3 games will be at 7:15 this week. And then the Marlins will have Thursday off, be back at it Friday at home against the Brewers. I believe that Christian Yelich is going to miss some time. He had a hamstring injury.
Yeah, they say he's going to miss some significant time.
I don't know if you guys saw what happened with Conine. That happened during the day game last week, but Griffin Conine hurt his hamstring pretty bad. So that's not great. And Yelich, he had tightness in his left hamstring, and their manager Pat Murphy said, "quote We're most likely going to get some bad news on Yelich. Not great for him, not great." So Yelich is going to miss time, which means he will not be playing this weekend against the Marlins. Most likely, Atlanta and the Fish get going at 7:15 tonight. Yuri Perez is on the hill for the Marlins tonight, and you can hear that right here. Is it on FM tonight or just on QAM?
It's on AM. Panthers on FM tonight.
Panthers play the Maple Leafs tonight, yeah? Who do they got?
The Rangers.
No, Rangers. The
They got
Rangers.
the Rangers tonight.
2 left for the Panthers?
Yes, tonight and Wednesday. And then Wednesday
I don't
against
want to
Detroit.
win, right? Because I want to guarantee a pick.
You kind of want to lose to guarantee you a pick, but you may get Chucky back after the birth of his child. He might want to play the last 2 games of the season.
Chucky did the open for the UFC, like the broadcast. They did a simulcast on CBS, and even though it was in the Heat's house, Chucky was the guy talking about championships. They had the rings on, the gold medal on, the vice jacket, and he did the big open for the UFC CBS broadcast this week. I don't believe he was at the fights, though. Cristobal was, though. They had a lot of U representation. Mario Cristobal was there, and David Njoku was there.
Brian Monroe was there.
Brian Monroe was there. Hobnobbing,
Yes.
probably. And then Michael Irvin was there. So had a lot of U's getting thrown up at old UFC on Saturday night. So that was kind of cool. Mario Cristobal gives the U, and then he punches at the camera. Tough. That's tough.
You said it was tough, right?
It was tough. It was tough. It was tough. Very tough. So, as far as the Heat, they'll be back in action tomorrow against the Hornets. This was Bam Adebayo on their matchups against the Hornets this year. Is what he had to say.
They play a lot faster at home. So, obviously, you got to be aware of the shooters and how they run that offense with such a pace. And sometimes it seems chaotic. You got to be able to maintain through when they make runs, or if it's one of those big momentum swings, you got to understand how we can settle and get back in the fight.
Well, the defense has not been very good lately, and the Charlotte Hornets offense can get quite electric. And it was basically after that Hornets, Pistons, Bucks little run there at the end, and then the wheels came off this defense. I mean, it was a rough thing to watch. If you guys missed it, we had Wes Goldberg on earlier in the show. We'll bring that to you a little bit later on this hour. But here was Norman Powell on their mentality going into that play-in.
Obviously, it's a game 7 for us, in the play-in, and that's being in that 10th spot. It's win or go home. So that's our mindset. To get this win, figure out where we got to go after that to get another win. But we're all focused on this one game and playing our brand of basketball and giving ourselves the chance to keep moving on.
All righty. We'll see that the Heat did give Jameer Young a standard deal after waiving Terry Rozier. We had that Terry Rozier news. Jameer Young was the one who ended up with the full deal. He took over Terry Rozier's locker. It is finally gone. No longer there. It has been removed. Wonder what they do with the plate. I think they sent it to him.
Nah, they just throw it away.
It's like, we don't need this. See you later. Some other things going on in the local sports scene. The Dolphins. There was a report from Omar Kelly that the Dolphins not exactly close to new deals with their three guys who are up for him: Aaron Brewer, Jordan Brooks, and then of course Devon Achane, who seems like probably the one with most urgency. I will say it is voluntary, but Devon Achane not even showing up to meetings was a little because I would think if you're the Dolphins, like I know, here's what I'd say. I know John Eric Sullivan said that, oh, we're going to get the deals done. We're going to get the deals done. But what I would be nervous about is, well, I either want the deal done or I want to get my picks for this draft because I don't want, because Devon Achane's value, I would imagine, never going to be higher than it is right now as far as a trade's concerned. Because every year a running back plays, you always got to be like, more miles. Well, right now, it's like 24 years old coming off of that season. If you don't...
Damn, he's only 24?
I think so, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I think he's only 24. I don't know if he's 25 before this season or if he just turned 24. Let me check.
He's 24.
He's 24. He'll turn 25 like in the middle of the season, Vlad.
Okay.
After like 6 weeks into the season. So, if you're the Dolphins, you kind of want to get a deal done before the draft, right? Because if you don't, then you want to get another deal done before the draft. Now, I got to imagine that Sully has to know. I got to imagine he's got to know, all right, well, this is what they want. But I also got to think he's in a weird spot because you don't want to be like, oh, I want to break the bank on running backs, even though he's a very versatile running back and he's at a young age. But this doesn't feel like something that you'd want to linger into the summer unless you feel like, first-round pick from the Seahawks will always be there next year. So I think it's an interesting thing. Like the other guys, all right, like I don't think you're going to get a king's ransom for Brewer. I don't think you're going to get a king's ransom for Jordan Brooks. Like you might get some nice picks. But Achane's the one where you're like, all right, I either got to trade him and get probably the most I'll get for him, which I would imagine is probably a very low first-round pick, but probably a second-round pick, or I got to come to an agreement with them. Because if I'm going to just roll the dice on, we'll get this thing figured out, and then let's say you have a season with Achane and he holds out one, you sign him and he, gets hurt or something else like that happens. Like it's a bit of a thing. I feel like the Dolphins got to have some urgency on it.
He's definitely standing in. Just if he doesn't have a contract extension.
Well, that's the thing. That's why it was interesting he didn't show up to the meetings, right? Like I know that Halfley didn't make a big deal out of it, right? And I'm sure Dolphin fans are at the point where they're like, dude, I don't want to like be bullied into another contract. Like not exactly something that's worked out for the Dolphins. I can understand your logic there. I'm just saying the Dolphins, as much as I don't want the Dolphins to lose Devon Achane because he's basically their offense, they also have to have a real conversation about where they're at. And if they don't think, let's say this deal is not close. Let's say the bridge is quite vast. Do you want to go into a negotiation all summer with the guy, or do you just want to cut bait, get my pick, give him to Seattle, let's move on? Because you can just go put your fresh coat on this season.
Seattle's just going after every AFC East running back, it seems like.
Seems like it. Yeah.
They made a offer for the Jets.
For Brees?
The Jets for Brees, and then now you're telling me they after Devon Achane?
Is Brees signed?
He's getting he got franchise.
So
he's gonna be a top 5 paid running back.
Yeah, well, he's not a free agent, so they can't franchise Achane, but he also doesn't have a 5th-year option because he was a 3rd-round pick. So
this is his final year.
Well, this is he's going into his final year, but he's not going to play if he doesn't have a new deal.
Yeah.
He's not going to play on that contract. I would be surprised if he did. So, yeah, I do think there's a little bit of like, ooh, we gotta kind of figure this. We kind of have to figure this thing out one way or the other. And I get both sides. I could understand the Dolphins sitting here and being like, hey, is it the most prudent thing for us to sign this guy? Because they've said all the right things about Achane. They've said, we want him. We think he's a cornerstone. We think that he's a big part of the franchise. And I would understand why. He had an incredible season. I would like to see Devon Achane play for the Dolphins this year. But you also have to put that up against, are we ever going to get more for him than we will this season. But then there could be the other side of it is, wait, is it possible to even get anybody as close to him as there is? Or do you go into a season, let's say the Dolphins could get another low first round pick, and now you can start filling up a lot of holes on the cheap skis of where your team is. So I don't know. Cap says, what is not close mean? I don't know. When you say not close, Cap, when I hear not close, you know what that means? Not close. I think it speaks for itself.
Self-explanatory.
I think it's self-explanatory. There's close and there's not close. If you were close, I wouldn't. If you were like, it's years, it's guaranteed money. All right, well, I'm not faulting anybody for getting money. Go get money. What do you mean? What does it mean? It means not close. So if you're not you want to know what is close? The draft. The draft is close. So if you're not close with Devon Achane, but you're close to the draft, and you're like, do I really want to go into these negotiations about this? Maybe I'll just take my pick, cut my losses, and move on. And I don't think, I don't want the Dolphins to lose Devon Achane because he's awesome. Don't get me wrong, he's electric. But also, is it a little like, what do we have this guy here for? Because is this team going to be any good? I don't know. I don't know what's reasonable to expect from them. No idea what Malik Willis is going to bring to the table. Don't know what the offensive line is going to look like. They have
We're not close to finding out.
We're not close to finding out. That's right, Jennifer. Not close. But what is close is the draft.
The draft.
So, yeah, I think it is an interesting situation. I feel like if they're not going to deal him, then they better come to an agreement. Like there better be. Don't be sitting here being like, yeah, we have this whole thing, but we're not prepared to finish something out with Devon Achane. So I'm kind of curious how it's gonna play out over the next few days. We'll take a break. We'll play a little all right. Oh no! Next. Welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy back with you here on FM 104.3 WQAM. Take you guys up until 2 here on the program. Want to let you guys know one more time, coming on up on May 8th, we got a fun little event for you. Whiskey, Stars, and Cigars from Tabacón at Plantation Walk. If you guys want to hobnob with us, hang out with your favorite sports talk personalities here from WQAM, you guys want to come to WQAM's Whiskey, Stars, and Cigars, presented by Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall. It returns Friday, May 8th. You can talk sports unfiltered with the QAM staff at Tabacón Cigars and Spirits at Plantation Walk. Enjoy a nice Scotch whiskey from Johnny Walker, a smooth cigar from Drew Estate. The event is free. Just hop on by. Get all the info now at WQAM.com. You must be 21 or older, and we hope to see you there. May 8th at Tabacón Cigars and Spirits at Plantation Walk. Whiskey, Stars, and Cigars presented by Edmore Sawgrass Auto Mall. 4 brands, 1 locations, your local Cadillac, Buick, GMC, and Chevy dealer. So that is the all right for you today. My all right goes to fights this weekend, man. It was an awesome week, but specifically for me, Cub Swanson. That for me was the most Goosey's moment of the weekend. Cub Swanson's an absolute legend. Been around forever. Last guy active in the WEC who was in the UFC. And for him to beat, Nate the Train Ledware, that was pretty awesome. I like when the retirement most guys in fighting, they go out on their face. They get face planted, knocked out, embarrassed. That's normally how it ends. But when guys, the good guys like Cub Swanson and Robbie Lawler get to go out on top, makes me happy. So that gets my my all right to Cub Swanson this weekend. Getting my no, it's Giannis. I mean, I'm sorry. This whole song and dance that he does with every press conference is just patently absurd. I mean, he's sitting here, he's like, I feel disrespected. Oh, well, you're gonna leave the Bucks? Well, I can't say that I'm gonna leave the Bucks. I mean, oh, okay. Well, will there be rumors? Well, don't listen to any of the rumors. But honestly, I don't really have any control. It's all my wife. Now you're blaming your wife?
Mind you, he's also a part of all the rumors too.
Dude.
No, he didn't blame the wife.
He said
he's been trying to get a 5th child. Now he's gonna blame the wife?
He said, I don't wear the pants.
I mean, that's not blaming the wife. That's just letting
He said, I don't blame that. We're gonna talk to my wife.
Blame yourself.
Honest. What are you doing, dude?
Go to Target with her.
And smile. You want to talk about smiling faces with hidden agendas? Did you see the arm around Doc Rivers as he left the floor yesterday? I mean, come on, that was crazy.
That's nasty work.
This Giannis, man, ridiculous. And I'm, you know what? As I say this, like my phone is listening. Giannis is on Doc's exit. He says it was a shock to me. It was. Get out of here, dude. I mean, he is
the perception on this guy.
As phony as it gets. As phony as it gets, Jennifer. That's why I don't want him.
You're such a liar.
I don't want him on the Heat.
Why do you gotta look away when you say you don't want him?
I don't want him on the Heat.
Such a liar, bro.
Look at the camera.
I don't want Giannis on the Miami Heat. What do you have to say, Jennifer?
About my all right or no?
Yeah.
Or are you and your Giannis flip-floppery?
I'm very honest.
Okay, Posh.
Well, Posh, I'm happy you got your frozen iguanas hat.
Thank
by the way.
you.
I like it.
I went there. It was still an ordeal because I went there, right? And they're like, hey, your hat's ready. I was like, cool. So they're like, just pick it up at the store. Awesome. So I Google on there, store hours, and it says it's open till 5. I get there. I get to Roger Dean Stadium. Mother bleeping locked. The store was locked.
Did you get there?
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. And I'm like, no, I'm not, because this would have been the second trip that I made up there, and I come away with no hat, and that wasn't going to happen. So very politely, I went over to the box office and I said, hey, because this is Roger Dean Stadium. It's not like I'm going to a giant place. Whoever runs there is walking around here somewhere. And I was like, hey, I got an email that said I could pick up my hat. Let me in, please. And so I went to the office. Somebody else helped me. They got the lady who runs the store. They're like, oh, we don't open. It's a game day. It doesn't open till 5. I'm like, the internet says you close at 5. They're like, oh, sorry about that. So they went and got me my hat.
More deception.
More deception. Now the problem is, I said I told Leroy I'd get him a hat, and
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I couldn't get it in the store, so I didn't get Leroy a hat. But when if I come across another frozen iguanas hat, I will get Leroy a hat.
But why didn't they let you get another one? Or is it because you already pre-ordered?
Because they didn't let me in the store. They just came to the office with my hat.
Oh.
They're like, "Here's your hat, Mr. Tobin." I'm like, "Thanks." Like, why does this have to be so difficult? You guys told me 3 times it was my hat. Anyway, what's your oh no?
Besides that, well, my all right also goes to this weekend. It was very country influenced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful I'm able to go to this festival another year, which was Tortuga Music Festival, and I got to see the Fray. I haven't seen them ever, so that was pretty cool.
What do they
And
say?
Cable Car.
What's that?
Do you really want me to sing that?
If you don't want to, I'm not going to make you.
Okay, well, I'm sure you know this like 100%. And I also saw Riley Green, and I had to go for that. I was able to see him acoustically before, but it was good to see him with a full band behind him. But I'm sorry, Carlos, even though you're fine because you won. It's okay. My oh no goes to I was busy yesterday. I was not able to attend the festival. And I figured I wouldn't go anyway because I already seen Kenny Chesney headline
Sure.
multiple times. Little did I know, this man brings out Megan Maroney.
Oh, wow.
Megan
got pulled.
Maroney for 3 songs. I was so upset. Me and Brittany were floored because we were not able to attend this.
Bummer.
It was rough, man. But thankfully
Not
we
okay.
had Jack who was there. Exactly. We are not okay. We had Jack, who is one of our coworkers, who went and sent us videos, which was really nice of him. But it
Cool.
was so sad we couldn't witness it because I haven't seen
Vlad,
it.
you're all right? No.
So that was her own. Oh no! All right, my all right. Golf.
Yeah,
I was captivated this weekend.
Good golf.
It was good golf. Scotty Scheffler. I wanted Scotty. I had money on Scotty Scheffler, so I really needed him to come back and pull off the miracle, but it didn't happen. But Rory winning back to back, that was something big to happen, especially after you got the news with Tiger, and Rory was supposed to be the guy to replace Tiger. So for the fact that he
felt like golf needed it.
Yeah, it felt like golf needed it, and he, to be the first repeat champion since Tiger, that was big. So shout out to Rory and the Masters. All right. My oh no. Well, my oh no kind of is like yours. If Giannis is an oh no, so is Doc.
Oh
no. Doc, I'm done with you, man. Doc Rivers, I don't want to hear you anymore. You and your voice. Go sit down with your son. Go commentate on Prime or NBC, like on opposite ends of the bench. I'm done with you, man. You took your boy's job. You did some nefarious acts to get the job, and then you didn't live up to the expectations.
Yep.
They never got past the first round. It was just bad. It was just a whole bad situation with Doc and the Bucks. So my oh no goes to Doc Rivers.
A man who has no excuses. Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat. We talk all things Miami Heat, play-in, Bam, whole situation. Wes Goldberg from Locked On Heat joins us next. Visit us at Doral Kia or DoralKia.com. Happy to be joined here by the host of Locked On Heat, the Locked On Heat podcast, which you guys can watch after every game and all week long on YouTube and get it on all your podcast platforms. That we find Wes Goldberg. Always appreciate when Wes makes time for us. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. Happy end of the regular season and start of whatever's next.
We made it again. we made it again, and now we're back in our traditional spot. We are all set for another visit to the plane. I guess we'll start here. What do you think you'll take from this season? Because like people will say, hey, they're back in their same spot, which is true. They finished with a better record than last year. There was obviously less chaos from a drama standpoint than last year. What do you think is going to be, just if you had to already write the obit on this season today, what do you think you'll remember about this year the most?
I think the general theme of this season is how the East has basically passed the Miami Heat by in total, right? We all know that stat that went around after the trade deadline that the Miami Heat were the only team to not make a trade in the Eastern Conference. But you look around the East and you could actually say that every team in the East has a better outlook after this season than the Miami Heat. Maybe the only exception might be the Milwaukee Bucks, but we got to see what they get for Giannis, right?
Right.
But even their play-in peers like Atlanta and Chicago, they have at least chosen a direction. Chicago taking a step back. Atlanta, what you could have argued maybe was a step back in trading Trae Young, actually took a step forward and looks like they've put a real roster and they're building something there. And you look at the rest of the league or the rest of the conference rather, and everybody kind of has that clear direction of where it is that they're going. And the Miami Heat, meanwhile, it's their fourth straight year in the play-in tournament. And to me, I just think that you're out of excuses if you're the Heat, right? Like in years past, you could point to a Jimmy Butler injury against Philadelphia, or the Jimmy Butler trade last year, or injuries to top scorers during the regular season as the reason why you're in the play-in instead of an automatic bid to the playoffs. But 4 years is a really large sample size. Frankly, it's a larger sample size than the finals run in 2023 over a couple months in the playoffs. This is what this team is and has been, regardless of some of these moving parts and excuses. And I'll be really interested to see how Pat Riley characterizes this and kind of answers the same question you asked me at the end of this season, during his end of season press conference, because the excuses just have to stop. If this team, by the way, I think this team had a reason to think, Jimmy Butler thing behind us, let's build something, let's see what we're all about. This is what they're all about. They're all about the plan.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's odd about it too is you look back at this year, and I think that I give them credit for doing some things differently. Like I do say, all right, you knew the offense stunk, so you tried something a little gimmicky. I think there's probably a reason why teams don't play like this, because it seemed like it burned them out pretty quickly. And then they just had a foundational build problem because Tyler and Norm just don't work, and they're both on personal goal timelines that don't necessarily help even the timeline of the Heat. So I'm curious to know what that decision is going to be from them, if they even both, like, do you picture a world where either one of them are back next year?
I could see them both coming back next year, which sounds crazy, but I mean, that's what this front office has done time and time again. And for the record, like, if you get Tyler Hero back on a manageable extension, and Norm Powell's also willing to take a manageable extension, at some point you just say, well, these are two really good deals for the players that they are in a vacuum. I guess we'll just figure this out later. There's a way that you can kind of go about that, but ultimately the Heat don't want to do that. That might be plan B, C, D, E. I don't know. I just wouldn't rule it out. In terms of the offense, look, they finished 12th in offense this year. It's the first time that they've been out of the bottom 10 in offensive rating at the end of the season in 4 years. There is zero question that this gimmick offense worked. There's also zero question that it's a gimmick and it fizzled out towards the end of the season, and it never impacted them offensively. They finished over the last 20 games, they were top 5 in offensive rating in the league. They were one of the best teams in the league for a big portion of the season, one of the best scoring teams in the league. The problem is that their defense slipped to 25th over the last 20 games of the season, which if you're the Heat's front office and you're Eric Spoelstra, you know that number and you're like, I don't care if we're first in offensive rating. We cannot be 25th in defense. That is not acceptable for the Miami Heat. And so I do think that we'll probably see a different kind of offense next year. Maybe there's elements of this, but you can't do this. They're the only team, Tobin, that consistently cracked 5 miles per hour on offense this season. NBA's tracking data. They keep track of how fast every team runs in the league on offense and on defense. And the Heat were the only team at the end of the regular season to average more than 5 miles per hour. That's how fast they run on offense. So that just means they were running faster than everybody else. And a lot of that is because of transition and stuff like that. They're getting in the open court. And then no team in the league outside of Indiana ran more miles than them all season long. And Indiana stinks. So it's not exactly like you could point to that stat and just be like, well, that's a winning stat. No. That's a losing stat. They're working too hard to do the same thing that these other teams are doing. And that's been the bigger problem, not just for this season, but in general for the Heat for a very long time.
What did you think was the downfall these last 2 weeks? I think back to a couple of games ago when Spo was basically like, I've never been part of a defense like this. Because it was strange. Like they had that 7-game win streak, middle of June. Feels like maybe all the possibilities are in front of them. Like, just don't get embarrassed. And then, like, it was such an unraveling of the team. What the hell happened to the defense the last 3 weeks?
I think you go back to that stat that I just pointed. I think they ran out of gas. I mean, you and I watch every possession of these games. They were just getting blown by, right? It wasn't a schematic thing. It wasn't like the zone just stopped working or they weren't running it enough or they were running it too much. And, Eric Spoelstra, what was the quote that he said after one of those Toronto losses? He's like, we're plugging holes in a dam. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, the fact that they couldn't find a viable defensive lineup for a quarter of the season is very telling of where this roster is. Like, the answers weren't on that roster. We could debate Khalil Ware, start, bench, whatever, playing too much. Like, the answers weren't on the roster. And eventually he did come to the conclusion that, okay, we have to start Khalil Ware just because we need some size out there. We need some sort of defensive advantage. We have to stagger Hero and Powell like as if they're not even teammates. Like they'll never share the court together whatsoever because we can't afford a minute with those guys on the court together defensively. And so they came to some realizations by the end of the year, and we'll see what it looks like in the play-in tournament, maybe even in the playoffs, depending on how things play out. But in terms of why they got so bad defensively, all I could point to is I'm watching these games and they just look tired. The closeouts aren't as crisp. They're not closing out as quickly. They're getting blown by. And those are marks of tired teams.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing everybody just root for a day off yesterday in the locker room.
It wasn't it? Like that was one of the craziest scenes and more entertaining scenes that I've been a part of in a locker room where everybody's just, it doesn't matter about it's the same opponent no matter what. It's just like, can we get, after 82 grueling 5 months of this regular season, just one extra day off? Because remember, this is a team that wanted the entire week off, and they couldn't even get that. So to try to get a day off, and now they can't even get that, it's gutting.
Do you think when they suit up tomorrow night tomorrow night, do you think that Khalil starts? Because Spo had this whole thing about how important it is after the Wizards game, that they want him more engaged. Thought he was fine yesterday. I didn't think like it was his greatest showing ever. He had the 3-ball going, but it was a bit of a weird game anyway. It doesn't matter. But do you feel like they go into this, however long the playoffs are, with Khalil starting?
I think so. I do think that this team has to understand what its ceiling is, right? Like, it's interesting to hear Steve Kerr talk about his Warriors team that's in the same spot in the Western Conference, the 10th seed in the play-in, and just be like, yeah, we're still going to minutes limit Steph and Horford and Porzingis. Like, they just know, like, we're going to go out there and we're going to compete, but we're not going to do something bespoke for these games. And if Eric Spoelstra and this front office believe that getting Khalil in that starting lineup for however many more games we have left here is important, then I think you do it no matter what the matchup is. And by the way, you could talk yourself into starting Khalil. I know people will look at Charlotte and say, hey, the size, the speed of the game might not be beneficial for Khalil. The Hornets are also number 2 in the league in defensive rebounding rate. Like, this is a really elite defensive rebounding team. And if you want to try to close in on that rebounding margin, which is going to be really important, then having Khalil Ware out there does make some sense as a starter.
Do you feel like this matchup against Charlotte, they've had success against them this year? I think the only game they lost was with Bam out. But they did have to shoot pretty crazy in that game where, Charlotte was really rolling. how good do you feel about their opportunity to get out of the play-in? Is it a what's your confidence level?
So the Heat are 3-1 against the Hornets this season, but they're only 1-1 against these Hornets this season because 2 of those wins came in the first 3 weeks of the season before the Hornets figured out that they're good. And the Hornets over the second half of the season, like, this is a real stretch. This is not just some team that's a hot shooting team over the last 15 games. No, they are this team. They're not the team from the beginning of the year, and that's why I think Charles Lee deserves to be in the Coach of the Year conversation. Different topic. So 1-1 against this team. You mentioned the hot shoot. Tyler Hero had to go 8 for 10 from 3-point range in that win that they had. Now, that's not like, it's Tyler Hero. We see that happen. Like, that's totally within the cards, in the realm of possibility. Whether Hero or Norm Powell, I think one of those guys is going to have that kind of shooting game, and it's going to have to be a monster two-way Bam game. And when I say monster game, it doesn't mean 30 points necessarily. It just means 20 points, 14 rebounds, a couple assists, maybe a block, and just, the total two-way masterpiece stuff that we see from Bam. And then obviously some contributions from other players. But confidence level, I mean, this Hornets team is playing really well. It's already the team that the Pistons don't want to see, you know what I mean, in that first round. On the road, I'll give the Heat a 36.2% chance.
That's not great, dude.
Feels like it should be better. Great. For a team that owns the play-in tournament. The play-in kings, right? Isn't that what Tyler Hero called them the other day?
Well, I believe he stole that from me. I called them the play-in kings. The Kings of Play-Inville all season. But if Tyler Hero wants to take it, I'll allow him to take it because it is true. But it's one of these things, and I kind of understand where everybody's at. Like, Spo even kind of went into maniac mode yesterday where he's like, it makes you feel alive. I'm like, does it? You remember how like they felt last year? He was doing that whole thing after, like, you should have been on that plane ride back from us winning the play-in, and then you got your heads lopped off by the Cavaliers. Even if they win 2, like, they're gonna get destroyed by Detroit, or are you like one of these, like, Detroit's kind of vulnerable?
I've been higher on Detroit than most people all season long, not even knowing that this could have been a potential playoff matchup. I just think that team is tough as nails, and we can nitpick every team in the East, and people tend to nitpick Detroit more. I guess maybe it's just because we haven't seen them in the playoffs as much, even though they got to the second round last year they played well last year. So first round, thank you, Vlad. But they pushed the Knicks, almost made it to the second round. But their defense is awesome. They're turning teams over at a rate that is equivalent to what the Thunder turned teams over at last year. And yet we always talked about how you can't get the ball across the half court against the Thunder. The Pistons are doing that same thing, and that helps power their offense. They're a really good rebounding team. And with Cade having missed some time, they were getting real contributions from guys like Dennis Jenkins. Our friend Duncan Robinson was unlocked as a playmaker a little bit more for them. Jalen Duren is going to be an all-NBA guy and deserves it, right? Like, he's not just a
he's good
rim-rolling big guy. He is a rim-rolling big guy, but he also has a face-up game and actually has some dribble handoff chemistry with Duncan, which makes Heat fans jealous probably. But that's a legitimate team is my point. And we can nitpick some of the shooting stuff with them, but like I said, that every team in the East has something that you can nitpick. And one thing I know about the Pistons is they're going to come out, they're going to be more physical than everybody else, and that includes the Miami Heat, who we just talked about, don't seem to have their legs on them under them right now.
So you feel like the best thing, like, honestly, for like the long term, is probably just like get your asses kicked, and then that really will force them into evaluating the organization and maybe actually doing some wholesale stuff around 601 Biscayne Boulevard.
Yeah, this is kind of a topic that we keep circling back to on Locked On Heat, is sort of like, what's the best result of the season? Like, it's the Miami Heat. If you want to root for a playoff showing appearance, like, I get it, man. Like, that's the Heat make the playoffs. So you want to extend your season, you're not ready for off-season content, you're not ready to start talking about that. I get it. The NBA playoffs are long, and to not be a part of it at all is a drag. It's a total drag. But you make the playoffs, you don't have a chance at the lottery, right? The odds of Lightning striking twice in 2 years and kind of having that Cooper Flag thing happen where Dallas moved up from 11-1, it's a long shot, but you lose in the play-in, you end up with a 7 or a 5% chance depending on where things fall at a top 4 pick. That's not nothing, right? And if you make the playoffs, it is nothing. So maybe you can traffic and hope a little bit if you're a Heat fan in that until the lottery actually happens, and then at that point, I don't know, you're talking about a little bit of a better draft pick if that's what you want to do. But to me, I come back to what you just said, Tobin. if you make the playoffs again, does this front office be like, we're one bounce away from blah blah blah, like whatever? I almost feel like this team needs to be embarrassed to the point where they change their behavior, because we've heard time and time again they're not going to make change for change's sake. Well, sometimes you do need to make change for change's sake, and maybe just sort of mixing up the snow globe here and seeing if things fall a different way in the offseason might be the right way to approach things. But it just feels like there has to be some sort of different kind of result to elicit different behavior.
One more before I get you out of here. We got talking to Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On Heat, Locked On NBA as well, and Real GM Radio. You guys can catch a lot of his coverage this entire playoffs as well, even if the Heat do get their asses kicked early, and he'll be there through the offseason as well. But one thing I am keeping my eye on and I am intrigued by is what is Bam's reaction to all this? He has had one of his best individual seasons, obviously, the 83-point game, but he is going to be 30 this offseason, and he is looking at all of his peers and thinking that they've had more success, but he is Mr. Heat. I think he's 50 or so rebounds from passing Udonis Haslem. Do you think there's any chance that he makes a stink this offseason and thinks about other options?
No, but I was really curious about his post-game presser last night. And sometimes I don't stick around for Bam's comments because he takes his time post-game, right? He gets all his body work done. He just really takes his time. And sometimes I'm going to go record the show. I got to get this thing out. But last night I made sure to stick around because I did wonder, is he going to pull a Dwayne Wade type of, I'm sick of this, I don't want to do this anymore type of moment? And he didn't do that. He kept things focused on the play-in tournament, which I understand. It's totally the Bam thing to do. We'll see what that post-game press conference looks like if and when they're eliminated, right? Like, well, maybe that's the right time to tune into that. But I did have my antennas up. He didn't do any of that. But I do wonder, like, Bam is close friends with Jason Tatum. And Tatum misses 3/4 of the season, comes back to a team that's second in the East. And I just, Bam is thinking in some part of his body, not to speak for him, but like he knows if he leaves for 10 games, Miami's season is over. And he's probably looking at his buddy Tatum and he's like, look at your supporting cast. They were able to carry you and make sure that the team was viable for when you came back. And now that is a team that has a legitimate chance to make the NBA Finals, despite the fact that Tatum missed as much time as he did. He definitely looks around the league, looks at what his peers are dealing with, and he should. And I do wonder if, like, I don't think he's going to cause a stink in the terms of get me out of here, but he has earned enough respect in that building at this point where he could go to the front office and say, something's got to change. Like, you didn't get my guy Damian Lillard, you didn't get my guy Donovan Mitchell, even though Donovan Mitchell, depending on how the playoffs, he might be an option again this summer. He's extension eligible. We'll see. TBD. But go get me a guy, man. Like, come on. I scored 83 points in a game.
I know. That was like
where's my Pau Gasol?
It's the only thing good on the tombstone of this season was that night against the Wizards.
Does it feel a little less than? Like, wouldn't it have been better and more impactful had that kind of sparked this great run into the playoffs and the Heat are sitting here as a 5 seed?
I think it would have if I didn't know that it wasn't on him. And I just think that the mess of Hero and Powell just not working and just being a disaster, because that's what it was. Not intentionally. Like, look, I appreciate them going to get Norman Powell. He was an all-star this year, but that just didn't work. And they went through this entire thing, like trying to make feelings good for them, and then seemingly pissed off Norman Powell by the end of it. So that didn't even work. So it was just such a disaster between them both. I'm never going to take away from the year that this was an incredible Adebayo season that crashed and burned, but I don't put it on him. I know, like, I'm sure he has to wear it because he's the max guy and that's the responsibility, but let's be real. Like, that's it. We know why that happened.
It's starting to feel like those 2 years before the big three for Dwayne, where he was just like trudging along. And even that last year was a 48-win Heat team. This one is a 43. This one is
stuff.
If not for the play-in tournament, we're talking about the end of the season last night.
Yeah, and 0 for 13 against 3 teams in the East. Like, it's there are some embarrassing things on it for sure, but even with Bam Kid there, 83 is 83,
83 is 83, 100%.
I'll always have that. That's the only thing I have. It's the only flickering light I have on this season, Wes.
That and a top 4 pick in this draft, right?
That'd be good. I would like that. All right, buddy. Go follow Wes Goldberg's work. Locked On Heat, Locked On NBA. He does a fantastic job, and always appreciate when he makes time for us. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, guys.